On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, oh so many things. We have a new Ordeal Call chapter with Mary Alter, finally, after 3 years. It's been a long time.
Listen, I've been asking for Marie Alter ever since I did her interlude back in, year one. I don't know what y'all talking about.
I mean, yes, Mary has technically alluded to the fact that she could have an alter since the game launched, technically, so we could say, almost 8 years in the making.
Yas.
Kept you waiting, huh? But also beyond that, hey, NA's still doing stuff, so in addition to the fact that we are still plugging along with Tesla Fest, we also have more things, such as the Road to 7 Lost Belt 2, and a little pregame for Water Monster Crisis coming up. I really wish they'd still called it Sea Monster Crisis, if only because that's fewer syllables. But that'll be started by next Friday, so we're going to go ahead and get you in there. I'm one of your hosts, Omega. With me, as always, is Lucky. No funny intros today because we are a little late, and I don't know if you're keeping up with our greater continuity, but I'm still feeling a little under the weather. Been since about Tuesday or Wednesday. A little dry-throated today. I think it might be my allergies or something acting up because the Florida weather has decided to go deeply skew-whiff. I think we're going to have multiple days this week where the low's going to be in the 40s or 50s, but the high the next day is going to be in the low 80s. It's a little crazy. It's a little crunk. Sorry, somebody in Patreon chat. By the way, if you support us on Patreon, you can check out our Patreon chat in our Discord. Somebody just typed the word pollen storm in all caps, and I took psychic damage.
Well, let's not think about that. Instead, I hope everyone's enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka the flames that burn you within. And while we here at City of Mega like to bring you the latest Netro-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EA version of the game. So anyone not want to spoilers should prepare to take some mental damage. I'm a little tongue-tied today. Bleh. Bleh.
Sorry, my first instinct was to do the really crappy Arnold Schwarzenegger impression very loudly, but then I was like, no, not today. We don't have the energy for that today. But just know, that was my comedy reflex, chat. People at home, commenters, live viewers, everyone in between. Anyway, thank you, Lucky, as always, for his intro. I will now remind you, speaking of our patrons, this episode is brought to you by all of our patrons, but especially including Adam Hart, Blacksto G, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragonflight, Iceberg, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV9000, Just Faye, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Ro Rowan, Charvor, Shumpire, Some Guy Named Bob, and Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your support. If you want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you. Sorry, I had to fight a couple of burps there. I had some garlic bread earlier. And while it's very tasty, it is sticking with me. Yes, no, I like this. The 12 seasons of the South. Winter, Fool's Spring, Second Winter, Spring of Deception, Third Winter, the Pollinating, Actual Spring, Summer, the Center of the Sun, Fake Fall, Second Summer, Actual Fall. That sounds about right. That sounds very accurate. Especially in the heart of Central Florida. We get wild in there. You need to put the... Yeah, Second Winter was a couple of weeks ago when it was when it decided to be high 30s. That one weekend. It'll just shim-sham you. You will be minding your own business, and suddenly you'll be like, why is it suddenly freaking freezing? It's gooping out. What's wrong with everybody? For Florida specifically, though, this is missing there needs to be a bracket there, which is just somewhere between, I think, actual spring and actual fall is also just. And sometimes God smites thee, a.k.a. hurricane season. I don't think Axe has ever lived in the South, so yeah, he wouldn't know the vibes. He has steady northern climates, them Yankee climates, which is very funny coming from me because I was born in Green Bay, Minnesota. Probably put on a little bit more of this voice, bud. I was born in the Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Minnesotas, the Wisconsins. Go Green Bay Packers, cheeseheads. Eh, bud? Anyway, before I start doing any more regional accents in the United States I'm not qualified for, we've done the Patreon intro. We've said a lot of other nonsense. I think we can safely say, without risk of being demonetized, though it's been a long time since YouTube's hit a Let's Check FGO with age restriction, funnily enough. It's just all the live streams they want to fact-check me on. But this doesn't mean we can say it's time to check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, MASH.
Senpai!
Oh, I cut MASH off a little early there. Sorry, I was distracted because I'm got my hand and I'm doing a gesture for every beat while I'm speaking, and I'm just the little voice in my back of my head is why are you doing this? Nobody can see this. Anyway, that means it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai. We're going to start for pro tips. Usually I put a lot more air horns with my mouth in there, but like I said, I'm feeling a little sick. Got my window open, we're letting the air in, we're chilling. I gotta hold the energy back. There's a lot of me later. There's new servant deets, and I had to write a pregame. But we do have some pro tips for you. First, we are cooking pretty fast now, kids, so keep your eyes on the news. And remember, first and foremost of all, Lost Belt 2 clearance. That's going to be most relevant. And if you're not clear on Lost Belt 2, you do not have a lot of time. Luckily, you will have some assistance on this coming soon. More of that when we get to our actual skelograms. But if you're, deep in your Tesla Fest farming, you may need to take a break. Also, we'll be getting a new round of advanced quests. Don't forget those too. Those give you plenty of fun little bonuses to increase your drops of mats, which can be helpful. So keep those in mind. Normally, this is where we talk about records and evils, but we're just chilling right now. It's a lotto event. I've done like 6-ish boxes, which is kind of surprising that that's only a few and it's been like a week, but also like, I was busy over the weekend. So I'm a few days behind everybody. We're catching up. We're grinding the big nodes. The patron chat is having a discussion about where and what north is, and I'm just like, I feel like I need to bust out the non-curvatured map, because parts of the U.S. are much more north of the equator than you'd think. All of Florida is actually north of the equator, so there's quite a bit of north to go. But yes, no rolling except lotto boxes. Doing fine. I've like bought all my CE store copies, but unlike some people, no shame to them. Just there's some lucky freaks in our Discord. I haven't gotten any CE drops, so. I'm straight up, I don't have the brain space for challenge quests right now.
No, I'm kind of gooped on Dabbles myself.
Like, I've seen some people complaining, and I'm just like, nah, man, I don't need tickets that bad. I got a while to go. I'm still haven't used any from the White Day, any of that stuff.
I gotta save. And I also need to stock up on apples, too, so I actually have not been hitting that lotto, personally.
Yeah, I've still got plenty of gold apples, so I'm spending a few, but I need to be careful. I think I have like only 100-ish bronze apples because I use them so much for just like the chill little 10 refill. There will be some apples and some upcoming stuff though, and there's a decent amount in your first 10 lotto boxes, so you can kind of like gradually refill it on natural AP. Oh, actually, I probably should have put this in my records, but I forgot about it because it was like 4 a.m. in the morning when I did this. I did master level up recently, actually. I think I'm like 143 or something. I should check. But I did level up and spend all that AP. That was nice. Thumbnail. I was about to say spoilers, but it's not really spoilers, because technically the audience at home has the spoiler. Reversed spoiler, this was the point when Lucky finished the thumbnail and posted it, and I will now save it. The funny part is that you watching at home will know already the thumbnail.
Well, like I said, it's just character details. Can't really escape that.
God, no, I'm talking about the structure of the show. They'll have seen the thumbnail already. I'm just reacting to it because it's the first time I'm seeing the thumb, but they'll have already known the thumb. Bones and proofs. There's also some good stuff in the upcoming event, but we'll talk about that later. Haha, stay tuned. But, all of that aside, it is time to talk about, did you finish your master missions? To complete your master missions this week, you need to defeat 3 Earth attribute enemies and 3 human attribute enemies. Servants, I should say specifically. Also 3 of good and balanced. I believe it's, balanced is between, like, good and evil, and neutral is like lawful and chaotic. I think that's where they put that translation, because neutral would be very confusing otherwise for people at home. Defeat 20 enemies and defeat 40 enemies, so do the event. As I have easily cleared all of these in the round 2 of the Tesla Fest. You can do the event to get them all if you haven't already, and I'm sure that you'll be able to get all the other stuff doing at least some of the quests in the next block as well. But this does mean it's time to move on to skelograms, because we actually have quite a bit of that. We have quite a bit of news today for you, as we expected with that extra chapter around the corner and some other stuff going on. But chronologically, going at things in their proper order, Ordeal Call Chapter 2, ID, has released. It released on the 20th of March. Got a new chapter. This one's very Avenger-focused. Lots of fun stuff going on. Some new character sprites and stuff. Story stuff obviously happening. We've gotten our debut summon banner, and that is looking at SSR Avenger Mary Alter. This is at least what the wiki calls her, so I'm pretty sure that the Alter is actually part of her name. And she's story-locked, if I didn't mention that earlier. And also 4-star assassin Hassan of the Shining Star. He is permanent, I believe, if I'm reading the wiki right. So yes, new servants, very cool. We also had finally, after years of anticipation, now people can be quiet about it, Jalter and John animation updates. They've got, their sprites are fixed, full new animations, new NP animations as well. wide variety of things going on. This also includes a bevy of new bond lines, new expression sheets, and sprites and stuff. Just a general glow up for two characters who are kind of iconic to this game. Do y'all remember when it felt like Jolter was the unofficial official mascot of FGO?
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember Save for Jolter. Then it became Save for Morgan. What is it with you, audience at home, playing FGO and definitely not looking at myself in the mirror? What is it with you and white-haired women? This is a new story, full new story chapter, so it does mean we have new mats, Flowers of the End, and Gold Cauldrons, so keep your eye out for that in the future. When you clear the chapter, you can unlock a new extra class score, one of the 4 applicable classes you can select now. There's a new block of CEs. I believe we're rotating out Necromancy and... Was it 5,000 year or 1,000 year grudge? 500 year grudge, whatever it was. Let me check them. But yes, there's going to be a new block of CEs going through the rotate, as we do, which is very fun as always. Yes, the summon campaign. Yeah, it's the grudge, necromancy, and the I don't remember what the Kariamato one was, but they're doing that one. The new one is called Blade of Mediocrity, which kind of like oof, man. But yeah, new Shishigo CE. So we are trucking. They did a stream. There's 14 Saint Quartzes, the stream. And also, explicit on the wiki anyway, this is labeled as summon, banner number 1. So everybody look alive. I don't actually know from the CMs if there's too many other new story characters, but it is a new story chapter, and it seems to be fairly meaty. So like I said, just watch out. Keep your eyes peeled.
Nah, there's gonna be there too. If there's not, people are going to fucking burn down.
I mean, it's a major story release, right? I expect usually the 2 rounds of banners unless there's some reason not to. It's when you need more than 2 banners.
Yeah, I don't know. Things are happening.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm not sure I understand everything going on Ordeal Call, obviously, because, we're still not through Lost Belt 7. That's our thing at the end of this year. And even then, we probably won't be all the way through Lost Belt 7. Much like Lost Belt 6, we will presumably have less time delay on those chapters than they did in JP, but we still probably will have a gap, if only so they can preserve the joke that Rasputin does on Christmas Day, which I feel like they're gonna, just because it's really easy to pull that off with, having an open-ended schedule. But yeah, this is Summon Banner 1. There's probably going to be another banner. Like I said, I haven't poked our head in our spoiler thread that we've got in our Discord or anything like that, but I assume there's lots of things going on there, and, there's opportunities maybe for costume unlocks for stuff. There's all kinds of things going on. We've got some things chilling, so we'll see what's the haps. But also, just in general, seems like a really good banner. Good banner hit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're cooking up. And that means it's time to talk about the NA, the English server, and starting with Road to 7 Lost Belt number 2 campaign, starting the 25th, going until the 31st of March. So yeah, giving us quite a lot of early warning about this. So this will deploy a new Scotty interlude, and LB2 servants interludes will be unlocked even if you haven't summoned them, so you can catch up with all your favorite side story. There will once again be Recollection and Super Recollection quests. I don't know which quests they are, but I believe one of them is a Surtur battle, because there were like 3 of those, so get ready to have fun with that. Yeah, nobody pings me to moderate the spoiler thread, so I just assume everything is going fine there. I assume we're trucking. But yeah, I hang out
in the normal JP thread sometimes, but oof.
Yeah, I pop in with them when there's new stuff going on, but I actively do not look at the JP spoiler thread since we broke that out. Luckily, some of our mods do, so it's not like it's the Wild West in there, but like I said, nobody ever yells at me to come in and clean stuff up, so we're good. Also, a Sigurd rank-up quest will be available in the Road to 7. Let me remind myself which one that is. But yeah, rank up for Sigurd. Is that going to be his second strengthen? Yes, okay, so that's going to be his second skill is going to get buffed. That makes his Buster increase his mana burst 3/3. 3 times 3 turns. That's good. So yeah, that's a fun one. Obviously, with new interludes and rank ups, you're getting half AP rank ups and interludes for the whole LB2 crew. Also for the LB2 crew, you're looking at double base XP, so just double EXP, double suck chance, double FP, and also if you use LB2 servants to do LB2 free quests, you get plus 30% bond. We're really maximizing your gains on this kind of stuff. So that's a fun time. During this time, you've got half AP free quests in Lost Belt 2 and quarter AP story quests. Some of this quarter AP story quest stuff through LB2 is an overlap with another thing we're going to talk about, but that part goes on very long, but the half AP free quests is part of the Road to 7 campaign and will be much shorter. If you've beaten LB2, Bryn's Trial Quest will be free in the Rare Prism Shop if you haven't done it already, so you can repeat that. And also Sigurd's Summer Costume will be added to dressmaking for the same unlock conditions. You're going to have some limited time master missions to do LB2 free quests. This doesn't say clear, it just says do them, so you may still have to actually take some time to do this yourself, even if you've already cleared all those free quests. And we're going to be looking at multiple banners. You're going to look at raid-ups, which should be fairly short, but will be there for... By the way, speaking of how many servants are tied into a main chapter release, you're looking at banners for Skadi, Bryn, Sigurd, Napoleon, and Citlonai. So yes, all your favorite LB2 5 stars will be getting individual raid-ups. And yeah, one of those. We also, actually, sorry, I was going to move down a point. No, I have one bullet left. We are also getting, at the same time, we're getting Advanced Quests Part 3. There should be 3 new quests. I believe you'll be able to get, is it your first bone CE?
No.
Check on our news desk, because that hook posted it. Yeah, so, I'm pretty sure this should be your second, Dragonfang and Void Dust, and I think it's your first bone. So yeah, 3 new quests, 3 CEs, so you can get some extra copies. Know that they are additive. Oh no, these are multiplicative, not additive. So it's like improving your your drop rate very slightly there. So they do stack, and in the good way. But also I mentioned earlier, we are also getting the Singularity Repair Support Campaign Part 2, also starting the 25th, but that campaign's running until the 7th of April. During this time, log in for some extra QP, Embers, and Leyline Stones. The Leyline Stones are good until the end of April. You will have Archer Training Ground quests open every day. You will have some limited time master missions for some extra stuff related to story clearance. If you're all caught up, you should clear most of those instantly. And also, the quarter AP I mentioned earlier through Lost Belt 2 is part of this. That extends all the way to the 18th of April. So we are giving you a really long tail on that quarter AP, and expect these to basically keep continuing what's going on there. Also, we have an official release date for the Tsukihime remake in English. It's been given a confirmed date. It will be dropping June 27th, which is, I believe, the day before FGO's official English anniversary. I think that's the 28th. Obviously, we're not going to get that until July 4th weekend, which will actually be like the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So our anniversary is a little late this year, I think, unless AX decided to do the weekend before, but I don't think they did. Somebody can check the scheduling on that. We still got a few months to figure that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so that said, it will still line up very well with what the actual date of our anniversary time period is. So I would also expect a, big infusion of, maybe not a big, but, probably like at least 3 or 4 St. Quartzes for that drop. Maybe the full, 10 or more, considering it will also line up with our anniversary day. It should be very cute. Also, yes, our Patreon chat alluded to it. This isn't in my news per se. Oh, okay, so this is our second copies of Bone and Void. This is our first Fang CE. Thank you. Somebody in the Patreon chat grabbed that on me. Okay, good. All of those are I'm glad they started with bronze mats, shall we say. But as I was saying, not strictly like news, but there was a new interview with Nasu in the magazines.
People giving some side eye to Takuchi now.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting because it was a collab interview.
Yes.
They also did some discussion with some of the guys at MiHoYo.
Yep.
David Jiang, I think. So by the way, hey, if you ever wondered, Nasu says he's a fan of Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. He's played him. I also want to say, as you would expect from Nasu, he got in there and was like, he asked for Klee to be buffed. So it's fun. But they had a lot of back and forth. The most quotable part of this interview so far is that just letting you know, everybody, that Nasu is your strongest soldier, and he has been going to bat for Passion Lip swimsuit. But funnily enough, it's Takuchi as head of the art team who has apparently not been pro that previously on account of maybe it not getting through the design process, which is probably mostly just we can't trust Wadarko to draw this. He's out there trying, so we'll see. I do. Obviously, we've talked before that there is kind of some back and forth on the different communities. I don't think a lot of the really entrenched fans of this style of game, you don't necessarily see us going out there starting fights with Genshin and Honkai enjoyers.
No.
I just say that I'm I'm interested in Honkai because it's got, classic turn-based gameplay, but I am far too busy to get into it right now. And at this rate of video game releases, we'll be too busy to get into it for the next decade at this rate.
Yeah.
But, we don't really get any hate, span on that. So it shouldn't shock you that both if you get to talk to some big brain design guys behind these games, they know of each other and actually enjoy each other's works. Jang talked about how he's a big fan of Unlimited Blade Works. I assume from the context, he said he started as a casual fan in 2004, but I'm assuming it's the anime then that caught him. Liking a lot of those vibes, and going back and forth about some stuff. But yeah, the Passion Lip quote is the a general thing that's clocked out there. But if you're looking for this, check out Cars at Karoshi Myriad on Twitter. They've got a full translation of the interview, and I'm sure other people do. But yeah, it's cute. The as you would expect from our audience anyway, the people we talk to, the Passion Lip comment is the part that's really blowing up.
Yeah.
So we will continue to see. But that is actually gonna wrap up everything in our Skelligrams. Obviously, we will be talking about the new servant details for our 2 new servants, and I will tell you about Monster Crisis pregame, which, to remind everybody, the social media campaign for that ends the 28th. I am presuming that is going to immediately go into maintenance, and then the event starts. So, like I said, we'll be next recording our show on Friday the 29th, so the event should have started, so we're doing the pregame later. But keep your eyes peeled for all that. Yeah, that's Skelligrams.
Oh, excuse me. So, with that, let us move on over to this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. Let's give it one last refresh. No, let us not refresh. Fight for a stamp battle version. Bow wow wow. I love that shit. It's so good. Yes, but we have five lovely submissions, and let's get right on into it. So our first one comes from a master. How does it look up? A master, how does it look up? Meh. King Arthur lore wishes me luck. This is a sentence.
Are we trying to do a rhyme?
A master, how does it look up? King Arthur lore wishes me luck. Maybe. But they say, hey guys, hope you have a good day. If you make a Mystic Code, what skills do you want on it? I'm always a fan of just NP charge. Just give it.
Yeah, that's the number one thing I think I want out of Mystic Codes often.
All right, okay, this is what I need. I need NP gain up, NP charge, and then just a fucking an art steroid, I guess. That's what I want. That's all I want. That's all I need.
If we can have order change too, I'd really like Dust of Osiris, or or which one's the debuff clear? Is that Isis Blessing? Just the fucking debuff clear button. That's great. I love that. I wish the Atlas Academy MC Mystic Code other way. My letter's confused, but I wish that one wasn't quite so defensive, but just being like, no more debuffs. It's great. Yeah, team-wide debuff clear would be good, but I can only imagine that would be like a freaking 20-turn cooldown, knowing the way Mystic Codes work. Literally never get to do more than once. But yes, that would be nice. It doesn't have to be like all debuffs, just, whatever their latest debuff is would probably be good for most circumstances and probably wouldn't ruin any challenges.
Like I said, I am fairly unimaginative. I just want my arts to go more burr.
Yeah. No, listen, you literally said the first thing I was going to be like was like, more NP charge. That is the number one button I want. Is like, there's a reason why my Mages Association MC was like my first to go to like level 10, and why I almost wish they were Mystic Code Grails, because even though it's maxed out, I still am sometimes just like, I need that 20%, baby.
Alright, but let's move on to the next one. The next one comes from Fan of All Hassan. Well, you eating good, aren't you? Dear Braver Mecha and Dolphin Blow Lucky. Excuse me, I want to be Braver Lucky. Do you know how often I hit Braver and Rebirth? Sometimes I hit 2 Bravers in a row. Braver really was my, hey, stop doing that button, because it really did do a lot.
It's a big one, it's good.
Knock people out of doing shit.
Please, I'm Clim Hazard Omega.
I know they renamed it to Ascension, but just like I need to understand the origin of Clim Hazard.
Oh, I'm sure you can look it up, because I'm gonna bet that it was probably something literally like Ascension in Japanese, and then the poor like 2 guys who were stuck translating this were like, this is a really flowery way to say, like, ascending strike or something. What do we do? Hazard climb? Too many characters. Clim Hazard.
Clim Hazard?
It fits. Ship it. We have 10,000 more words of dialogue to translate.
Aw, man. Go watch our we did a spoiler stream for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth where we showcased the ending of the game and talked about a lot of other stuff, but I do think we actually got into talking about some of translation and localization choices among the game, and I think probably in some other places. Unfortunately, we like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so off, we talk about it constantly over different venues. We cannot be contained.
I'm still like I haven't actually fired it up since I beat the game on Sunday, but like I'm still like I haven't played any other games really besides like getting back, remembering my Yu-Gi-Oh grind and playing some Helldivers when it will let me. Chad, I would really like to stream Helldivers 2 to you with like Lucky and the boys, but I feel like it's still not stable enough that I can guarantee it would work to stream for like a bonus stream on a Thursday or Saturday or something. So I'm just like,
I would love
can't
to
commit
do
yet.
that. But yeah, no, unfortunately, like, playing Helldivers, like, we'll do, like, 2 missions. If any of us have to leave for any sort of reason, that's it. We're done. We will not be able to get back together. We literally had this problem yesterday. We're like, no, we're free. Let's play some Helldivers. Played a little bit with Lost, played a little bit with Omega. I went to go get food. Shit got fucked. Couldn't get back in.
Just couldn't tuckle it. And now they've denied our C01 permits.
I am flabbergasted. Apparently, canonically, that's even more of a blow because apparently the C-Tag 01 forms are actually notoriously hard to fill out anyways.
Listen, we don't have enough element 7110 for enough lube. That's the joke I've seen on Reddit anyway, because it's like space oil.
Well, yeah, no, that's bugs.
We didn't kill enough bugs, so we can't. Officially, the dispatch is because we didn't conquer those planets, so we're not going to have a room to expand our population, but it's still very funny.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're setting up for some sort of Terminid story. We know for a fact that, and they are straight up called Shriekers, but they've lowered the difficulty at which Shrieker nests can spawn, and they've officially admitted them. So I feel like we're building up to some sort of Terminid lore, because the latest, after our brief stint with the exosuits, our latest major order is still like hold planets in Terminid space. But yeah, Helldivers 2, super fun when it works. When it doesn't work, very frustrating. They're literally warning people against using arc effect weapons because it appears to be causing crashes to desktop, and they're not going to be able to get a fix out until after the weekend. Which, you know what? They're a small studio. I assume they don't normally work weekends, being based in like Norway, I think. So, fair, but still, Sag. But yes, this person has an actual question, besides us derailing to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth again.
That's fine. But they say... Also, I am a Tifa fan, but I am also an Aerith fan. I am one of the rare, I ship them all together at once. I am not a JP player, but it's hard not to notice that New Story clearly has some stuff going on with Avengers. So my question relates to this focus. Oh, sorry, I had to click read more for a second, my apologies. So my question this week refers to this focus, and who would you like to see the Marie, Nito, Chris, John, and Medusa treatment and get an Avenger class version? I know the most popular one is Boudica, but curious if either of you had any others in mind. God, the thing that slays me in here is this event has both Mandricardo and fucking Boudica in it. I'm just all like, excuse me? My friend though?
I mean, they did the high school AU, so they had to include my friendo.
But
I mean, the part that frickin' slays me, and I can't wait to see what it is there's a shot of like opening the door when you're going home, and there's like big and small Da Vinci, and I'm just like, oh no, damn dude.
No, I've seen. I think I've seen I think the favorite meme I've seen on Twitter is Batman holding, blue holographs of I'm assuming Da Vinci mom and Da Vinci sits, and you're like, no, don't leave me.
We're having a wild time.
But also, yeah, I'm gonna be real. On Skahawk, let's go. I'm there.
Yes, Sweater Skahawk official sprite in the game. I believe people have pointed out this means that both Scotty and regular Skahawk have a sweater sprite now. Also, yes, big Da Vinci has anime mom death hair. The art team knew what they were doing with this redesign.
I don't know exactly what's happening here, but I know it's not good. Capital NG.
Emotional damage.
Yeah.
Also, not to dunk on this person, but I do want to point out, because this is a very funny, like, self-correct or autocorrect. Nito Chris, which is just N-I, is misspelled as Nito Chris. And I'm just like, I like this. Thumbs up.
I'm trying to think, who do I want? Who else would I want as an Avenger?
I mean, Boudica seems like talking about like with Marie Antoinette. Boudica seems like such an obvious choice for the I won't say the glow up, for the goth up.
For the goth down?
Yeah. I'd be down bad for goths anyway.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who else, like, Boudica is such an obvious choice that I'm like, okay, who would be my second pick? Anybody else have any of these, like, because I feel like this is one of those things that's like, for a comparison, like, a lot of people think about in, like, Dragon Ball fandom, like, oh, what if such and such character went Super Saiyan? The Avenger thing is almost like Fate's version of that, along with Alters. It's like, oh, what would this character look like if they had an Avenger or an Alter, a darker, edgier version?
I know it's kind of weird, but now the more I think about it, I think Emiya Alter should have been an Avenger.
Hell, I think you could make a case for a regular Emiya as an Avenger at some point. That guy got a lot of baggage.
Like, honestly, the more I think about it, Emiya Alter should have been a fucking Avenger. Like, yeah, I think there's some baggage underneath him.
I assume they wanted to keep him Archer because of basically comparisons to, like, Saber Alter.
Yeah.
Like, that was the parallel we were going for with Shinjuku.
I mean, also, I'm gonna be fucking I'm an idiot. Of course I know who my fucking my number 2 is after Boudica. It's fucking Cha-Cha. Give me loaded Lady Yodagiri Avenger.
Yeah, that's another good one. That's something I think she's even talked about before explicitly.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, Boudica, Lady Yodagiri. I think Emiya Alter would probably make a pretty good Avenger. I'm trying to think who else is maybe, kind of sort of villainous and, I need fucking revenge kind of way. No. Sorry, I'm like trying to run through like a mental map here of servants and what I know of them. Oh, revenge, huh?
Well,
revenge.
I did make sure to double check. And the wiki does point out that possible people who could be Avengers includes Anastasia.
I can see that, yeah.
Definitely, especially with V, she would have some baggage. Canis, which also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think Canis is mad enough just as a Lancer.
I mean, Canis literally has Madness Enhancement EX as a Lancer, not even as a Berserker. Like,
they good.
They, thems is fines. Also, Quetz would count.
Really?
Going for some... Yeah, I don't know if that's a... Let me double-check the note for that. Is that... Oh, no, that is a line. Gorgon Smack-Talking Quetzalcoatl says that she could be an Avenger, but is cheerful. I think that's Gorgon's line for Ketz. Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, she does have a heal mode, so...
It's true.
But yeah, I think that covers all of our basics.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going with that. So, let's move on to the next one. The next one comes from the Tyrant King doing fun calculations for both... What is this, Acheron?
Yep.
Yeah! And Trunk Sisters next week. Question. Hey guys, so I have a 2-part question today. My first question is, what old video game would you want to get a port or remake for modern consoles? I ask because recently I just migrated all my important Pokemon from my DS to Switch. Also, for my second question, I almost finished with my audiobook of the first Spice and Wolf volume. Got any suggestions for another Ellen audiobook or audiobook in general? That's it for me. Kissing good vibes your way, and hope you have a great evening. Okay, so remake or ports, retro, old video game? Like, how old is old? We're talking like, what, 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
I mean, I guess just anything that's not available on a modern machine.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's literally something we've been talking about. I'm pretty sure that was a launch title on PS3, so it was 05, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think it was a launch title, but...
Right, it may not have been a launch title, it was pretty close.
It was pretty close, I think,
yeah,
like...
4 is out there. Was it 8? God. The Metal Gear timeline's very weird. I know that though I was saving up for a while, I bought my PS3 to play Metal Gear Solid 4. Like, I literally just happened to get into Metal Gear Solid right around the generation jump. Though obviously PS3s were very expensive, and also I was like 13 or 14, so it took me a little bit to get there.
What games launched with the PS3?
It was, damn. What year was the... I mean, that's still... Are we over 15 years? Yes. Yeah, we're like right around we're just over the 15-year mark, so that's still... 2 generations ago. That's pretty reasonable for an old school game. But yes, that's a major port. We literally both like as we have just this week finished the long-running excursion back into Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 1. All of those volumes have been mastered.
I'm looking at the PS3 launch now. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of sports games, but man, some of these, like Call of Duty 3, freaking Resistance Fall of Man.
Oh. God, there's a franchise nobody's heard of in a while.
Yeah. 3 games and went silent.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be Killzone, where they tried to give you a 4th game and it was terrible.
True.
Hey, actually, by the way, speaking of games I played a lot of on the PS3, Sony, please, you own Killzone. I know that Guerrilla is, like, churning out Horizon at very awkward times, but please, Killzone 2 and 3 remasters, or just make them playable on the PS5. Please, you're killing me, Smalls. Like, honestly, that's mostly where I'm at with, like, I would like old, like, first-party PS titles to come back. It was mentioned in our Patreon chat, but it was also mentioned in our games chat earlier. I straight up said, because we were talking about Sly 4, which ends on a cliffhanger, and also was mildly unpopular for story decisions back in the day. So we'd really like a Sly 5. But I was just like, hey, I would just take a Sly Trilogy PS5 port. Let me Thievius Raccoonus in 4K. Let me do Honor Amongst Thieves in 60 frames per second. I swear to you, that happens. That's a stream series right there. I love Sly Cooper. That's absolutely would be a stream run.
That's me and Jack and Daxter collection. Give me that shit.
Yeah. I know that I'm pretty sure you can, like, play the PS2, like, emulator ports on your PS5, because I'm pretty sure I own them, but I don't think there's any quality of life. I don't know if they, like, remastered the textures at all.
Yeah.
Speaking of another series, by the way, with a 4th game that absolutely killed it.
Well, technically 5th game, because remember, they had combat racing, and combat racing is pretty rad.
Yeah, combat racing is good for racing side games, and they had the Daxter PSP prequel.
Yeah.
Though obviously, I think there was at least one, maybe more, non-numbered Killzone games on PSP as well. PSP stuff is very funny. Though we should probably count them because that's another game that I know you're very interested in being in a future Master Collection because you've never played Peace Walker.
No. Fun fact though, I do own Peace Walker. I just don't think I have a PSP to play it on anymore.
Yeah, that's always a fun one.
Honestly, I've heard some people talking about it. It's not the greatest on the PSP.
No, I only played it in the HD collection for PS4 back in the day. And that was definitely because the PSP had this thing with not having enough analog sticks.
Yeah.
That the control scheme for the HD port much better. Happened with several PSP games, I think.
Listen, you only have one analog, one D, you have a single D, have 4 buttons, and only 2 shoulder buttons.
Yeah, no. They remapped the controls very slightly for the HD port, and I hope that Master Collection continues that. But yeah, no, like I own the I think it was a PS3 port they did the Sly Trilogy, because I know Sly 4 was on the PS3, and I also own several of the PS2 originals. It's just, aging consoles and tech. Finding a working one of those is, pain in the butt.
So technically they did bring this over, but another series that was near and dear to my heart, specifically in my oh god, when did it come out? I can't remember. I think I was in high school or middle school, but Golden Sun for the Game Boy Advance. Technically they have brought that over to the Nintendo Switch collection, but I don't know what they've actually done at anything, but it's just one of those games I'm like, they did 2 games that were phenomenal, and then they did one for the DS. Was it the DS Dark Dawn? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was
and
the
they
DS.
and then they like teased like the 4th game, and it never happened. And Camelot went to go working on fucking Mario sports games. I'm all like, why?
I mean, yeah, there is a sadly like downward trend, but Dark Dawn still got like a 79 in Metacritic, 81%, positive ratings. Didn't sell well in Japan, which is probably what in 2010 Nintendo probably what killed off the franchise a little bit.
Yeah, probably. I cry every time.
But yeah, they don't. I'm pretty sure that the Nintendo Online package includes, does include regular Golden Sun. I don't know if it does the Lost Age, and obviously, because that would be DS, that would be a separate release to redo Dark Dawn. Okay, no, yes. So, as of literally this year, regular Golden Sun and the Lost Age were added to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah. Nah, but I would definitely like a fucking a remaster port. Maybe put some more thing.
Actually, you know what? Go ahead, finish your thought. I'll remember mine for sure.
That's like, no, I don't know if I need like a remake or a port, but I need a franchise to come back. That's Breath of Fire, because dragons are cool.
How long is
always
Breath of Fire?
Like I played oh god, I don't think I've ever beaten a Breath of Fire, but I played 2, 3, 4, and fucking Dragon Quarter.
Let's see. Breath of Fire 6, which was exclusively for Microsoft Windows, Android, and iOS.
Yeah, it was a weird gotcha.
That was also 2016. Previously that, it was Dragon Quarter, which you just mentioned, which was for the PS2. Which is officially, by the way, Breath of Fire 5. They dropped the 5 from the international release, presumably to make you less scared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, Dragon Quarter
it was Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter.
Do I own Breath of Dragon? I don't think I do.
Keep your eyes out. Mine though is talking about like some remastering or remaking. Squaresoft. I am your mightiest soldier, except for all of the mightier soldiers I know in my Discord. But I'm willing to go to bat for you. I think I may be the only person who will fight for Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and Advance 2. Please. You've done pixel remasters of like all the 2D games. Please re-release FFTA and FFTA 2. Maybe with some quality of life to make FFTA 2 a little less grindy. Because that is a long game. Trust me, I know. I have my saves on my DS are like 200 hours long. But like I feel like people appropriately recognize that regular FF Tactics is a very important game and is really good. Right? Like that's the thing people like. Advance and Advance 2 don't get as much love. Especially Advance 2 hardly ever gets talked about because people have such divisive opinions about the story of Advance. And given how people usually are in retrospect, I genuinely wonder if people might appreciate Advance's story differently playing it now. As opposed to playing it when you were like 10 on the GBA, when you would absolutely be like, no, I don't want to go home to regular life from Ivalice. That's dumb. Ivalice is cool. Never mind, there's a horrifying demon woman pretending to be my friend's dead mom running this magical world. That's totally okay. Everything's fine. We don't need to deal with our problems.
Unfortunately, that would not be. I'll be like, yes, friends and demon mom. Sick, cool, I'm for it.
Yeah, I know. Knowing you, the moment I said it, I'm like, lucky you'll have something to say about this. But there were other weird things going on there. But yes, it's definitely, like I said, I think it's a story that would read differently, and it says a lot that the plot of A2 is basically the same as the first one, though it's explicitly an isekai rather than it could all be a dream. But it's definitely like, well, I've been transported to a different world over my summer vacation. My magical book keeps filling up as I do adventures, so I guess I'll just, keep going until it's done. I'll figure that stuff out. Anyway, time to turn to multi-class myself into a ninja and learn dual wielding. Ooh, Jiminy Christmas. Sorry, somebody posted an Amazon or eBay listing, probably Amazon from the text, DS ports of Dragon Quest games. That eBay, okay, yeah.
No, video games get fucking expensive, man. Like, my copy of fucking Xenosaga Xenosaga 3, that run me a few $100s, my dudes. I got it.
Yeah, it's so wild, because, like, I bought several PS2 games, like, back in the day when they were underappreciated, but obviously were in print super cheap. Like, I couldn't have paid more than, like, 20 or 30 bucks for my original Grim Grimoire on the PS2, right? I bet if I pulled up a listing for that right now on the internet, the original PS2 print would be pretty pricey, despite the fact that they've re-released that game.
No, like I got some rare games. Like I got Drakengard, I got Silent Hill 2, I got Silent Hill 1. Like, if I'm pretty sure if I like, oh god, I wonder if I can find someone who can like do a video game appraisal and give it my total fucking worth. I'm pretty sure I have like a few $1,000s in video games here, just from some of the rare games.
Yeah,
I have.
Physical collection, especially with the way printing is, it can get up there in value.
Let's see, I have Suikoden 3, 4, 5, and Tactics. Let's see here. Yeah, Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3. Some of these are like you can get these for like still like $20, but other like some of them start going from like $100 to $200, just depending on how much they how many print it. Like, I'm still looking for a copy of Drakengard 2. I know it's officially non-canon, but guys, I collect video games. What are you expecting? Like, oh god, so good. But actually, another game I like, because I was looking at my video game collection real quick. Another actually series I want to remake. Give me a Parasite Eve 2 or Parasite Eve. Let's just revisit Parasite Eve. Let's go back to, Square Enix's Resident Evil knockoff, where you play an agent that can shoot fireballs because you're fucking because the fucking midichlorian is the fucking powerhouse of the cell.
I know they keep rumoring that they're gonna remake Parasite Eve. They should do it. If you want to talk about a game that should do the transition from like actually a turn-based RPG to like a third-person action game, it should actually literally be Parasite Eve, right? Like, that is a game that is very weird, that it does have its RPG style mechanics and like would be totally ripe for a Resident Evil style like remake.
Like, I played the fuck out of Parasite Eve 2. Like, I love that game. I think that was probably actually the first like, quote unquote horror game that I actually ever beat. Because as a kid, Lucky was terrified of horror games. Like, I ran screaming out of a fucking EB Games once because I saw zombies on a screen on Resident Evil 2 once. Like I said, I didn't really get over that, and Parasite Eve 2 was like my first horror game, but it was monsters in Parasite Eve 2. Really, it wasn't necessarily zombies. It wasn't until Resident Evil 4 that I got over, the zombie phobia. I was that kid that would, always sleep with his heads under the cover because, like, if they don't see me and they can't hear me, they can't find me.
Oh, and our imagination is so wonderful as a child because, like, Resident Evil 2 zombies are those guys are polygons.
Yeah, well, I was like,
I'm
10,
just
11?
reminiscing. Like, I think I've talked about this. They're the Bandogora in fucking Star Wars Bounty Hunter is like, yeah, those guys creep me out because they kind of technically they were drug zombies, but I was young and didn't understand. But those guys were really creepy. They are so nothing nowadays because they're just like, and there is actually like a PS4, PS5 compatible port of Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I would say I would play that sometime, but there's Star Wars music in it, and I'm sure that Disney would be very upset at me to run that on YouTube. I guess I could try it with the sound off. It's a very fun, weird little game, Bounty Hunter. But the Bando Gorsters, they're just dudes in black robes with red glowing eyes that just kind of shimmy around.
Shimmy.
I was scared of those levels. I used cheat codes to skip some of their levels because I was too scared of them when I was a kid. Because that was a thing you could do back in video games. I just skipped to the final boss because the final chapter of the game is you go to their spooky graveyard moon, and I was just like, nope, not doing that. And then. Or this is actually very relevant because I've been thinking about watching, like, I have been watching old videos and thinking about, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake line and stuff, but, like, in the PS1, the concept of the Genova bosses is much creepier than those guys actually are because Genova's just kind of a weird shape.
Blob.
Yeah, like, there's some vaguely creepy stuff there, and there's some gooey tentacles, but all you're just like is just like, all you know is that Genova is creepy because there's creepy music ahead of time, and like people dying and weird mind stuff is happening, and then it cuts to the banger with the synth line. As opposed to nowadays, whereas the new models they've done for the Genova bosses in the remake games so far has been terrifying,
Goop.
Deeply unsettling. Guys, did you know Genova has eyeballs?
Yeah, no, I was actually gonna make that. For such a terrifying monster, they have very human eyeballs, and I feel that gap disconcerts me more than anything fucking else.
Yeah, if you look at those sockets, no, there's eyes in there. They're a little deep in there, but they're in there. Big pupils.
I think
it's
they
unsettling.
Look like they have brown eyes. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, no, the fact that I can determine Genova's eye color is, like, very unsettling to me. Creepy lady. Wearing her bones on her outside. It's like looking at Bloodborne bosses. And now that I've mentioned Bloodborne in our video game remastering concept, people are going to go crazy in the comments.
Honestly, I think Bloodborne can probably go with, like, a good remaster. It's a very standalone in the FromSoft series.
It's a very solid game. I believe From has said that basically, like, because Sony owns the IP, they're not interested, like, From itself is not interested in pushing a remaster or a sequel right now. So that seems like it would be on Sony to call for that. I imagine there probably would be interested in it, but we'll have to see. Like, Bluepoint, who's done a lot of these HD remasters, they did all the HD ports for the Metal Gear HD collection back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you've recently played their versions of, like, 2 and 3. And they did the Demon Souls remaster, which is a beautiful remaster. The game is still a pain in the ass, but, like, it looks great on the PS5. A lot of people are, like, wondering if they're, like, tapped to do Bloodborne, but allegedly they're working on their own IP right now. So it's wild. I did want to say before we end up getting off of this, there is a video game that I was actually wanting a re-release of that actually happened recently that's pretty neato. But GOG has finally managed to dig up Alpha Protocol.
Oh, yeah.
With achievement support, with the proper like licensed soundtrack in a couple of places, and they've actually like fired it back online, and it is available again, which is crazy because Alpha Protocol is a game that is definitely reminds me a lot of like the original Deus Ex. It's one of those games where it's their reach exceeds their grasp a little bit, but it's still a hell of a good time. Like, it's a third-person shooter espionage RPG from the PS3 generation, which is already pretty stilted gaming. But it's great because it does the classic, like, the thing that BioWare was doing at the time with like Dragon Age and Mass Effect of like, different character relationships, partnerships, etc., different opinions of you, lots of forking choices you can take. Yeah. And like, it was a little janky, but it was doing that in a modern spy thriller game, and it was pretty good. Also, I mentioned this. My personal favorite thing is that there's a character named Z, who is a German muscle MILF, played by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, English voice actor for The Major, among others, who you can romance. She enjoys it when you fight back and you shoot her in her boss fight. That actually raises her esteem of you. But there are other romance options. It's a wild little game. And I'm glad to see it come back, because that's a thing I'd love to try out sometime. And I may have to pick it up on PC and see what it's like, because it's a weird one. Like, imagine if... I don't think it's that long. I'd have to check the how to beat. But, like, basically imagine if, like, the vibes of, like, Splinter Cell, but it's an RPG by Obsidian. So, it's a time. And it quietly disappeared a few years ago from like digital storefronts because it absolutely did have licensed music in it. The internet's searching for how long to beat Dragon's Dogma right now.
The what?
I'm typing how long to beat, and my first two autocompletes are Dragon's Dogma and Dragon's Dogma 2.
Makes sense.
All right, Alpha Protocol. It's about 13 hours if you just want to choose story. If you want to do all the side content, it's like twice that for 100%. That may also be alternatively like if you want to actually see all the different character scenes and endings, because there are a few, like, double or triple that, for different variants. But yeah, it's a fun time. It's a fun game.
Ow. Oh.
The person had a second half of the question, which we haven't gotten to at all. Audiobooks.
Oh, yes. I am glad that you like the Spice of Wolf audiobook. For ones that are written off of direct light novels, though, I'm not too familiar with, because... Oh god, like the thing about audiobooks is no matter how good or bad the book is, it's usually the narration that sells it. So if you get someone that has like a bad read, it can be a little grating. Like I hear this about Solo Leveling, the very popular Korean light novel, has an audiobook too, but apparently the narrator in there like narrates like at least in the first book narrates sound effects like a door opening, and it's very jarring, especially if it's like in the beginning. But if I can recommend something. I can't remember if I recommended this before, but if you don't want anything like this particularly like overfilled with like action, adventure, and drama, then I will suggest Beware of Chicken. Let's see. Does it have the? I'm trying to I was trying to find a short blurb, but I'll pull it off the front of the book rank. It's like a must-read book for fans of cultivation, isekai, fantasy, food, farming, and much more. Basic story of Beware of Chicken is a guy dies, wakes up in the body of a cultivator and decides, fuck this life, I'm out. I'm gonna go live in the fucking country and build a farm. And he does! And it turns out that where he lives is a combination of China and Canada, which is slightly hilarious. And it's just filled with comfy vibes. It does, slowly ramp up things, and there is whirlwind galore. But it's also narrated by one Travis Baldry, who has a great voice for narration. It's amazing. It has, I think it has 3 volumes out on Audible right now, and I would highly recommend it. That's Beware of Chicken by Casual Farmer. Please check it out on audible.com.
Yeah. In terms of just general audiobooks, the audiobook versions of the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Weir, narrated by Moira Quirk, very good, very solid.
Very good. Talking about like
a great job of like really embodying the idiosyncratic style the way those books are written.
Pommel.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about just the way she just pops in Pommel. Fucking.
Yeah. Really good. A classic one is specifically the audiobooks for Dresden Files, read by James Marsters. Very, very like iconic read, but also just in general, any of Jim Butcher's audiobooks are very good.
I think I'd mentioned this like every year or two. I always go through the Codex Alera, whose narrator also does a very good job.
Yeah, so no, those are all very good for just like lots of general listens.
I will also say Her Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik does a very good job. The narrator does a fantastic British officer voice.
That's true. Yes, actually, that's a good one to think of. Since you mentioned it, I actually listened to. I think it was the first one of those I did actually listen to an audiobook form.
Yeah.
So yes, no, very solid one.
Yeah. Well, I think that's enough for that. We've been on this for a lot longer than I was expecting.
Yeah, we've crossed the hour mark in the raw mission timer.
Hella.
But this is what the people come for. You guys, usually the audience, I think, pops off when we talk about books and stuff.
Books and stuff.
You need something to listen to when you're farming lotto boxes that's not also just listening to us on loop forever. But also, seriously, if you need some time killers, we did some very long streams for Metal Gear. Lucky really buckled down for a couple of them. Basically finished the like back half of Metal Gear Solid 3 all in one go. It's a 7-hour stream you can listen to. You can put us up to 1.25. It's okay. And obviously, if you want it, there's like a 3-hour the spoiler cast, which was released on like a Sunday. Go check that out.
So let's move on. This next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, "Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes. Wah 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 wah. And wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Same to you, buddy." And last but not, oh Jesus fucking Christ, why? Sorry, I clicked to read more here.
There's proper line breaks at least in this.
There is proper line breaks, but this is something. But this one comes from a hunter hunting for deep knowledge and details. Hey yo, Big Boss Omega and Lucky Bunny Lucky. Hope your lotto boxes are high for your own standards. Be the best you and don't compare yourself to others. And that your CE drops have been plentiful. I have done no boxes and I have no CEs. I am horrible at this game.
I have done like 4 or 5 boxes and also no CE drops yet, so pretty normal.
But they say, rather than a question per se, I wish to drop some knowledge, most of which I know Lucky's seen, but hey, the audience listening can learn a thing. And that's that is like, grammatically correct, but it's still fucking weird.
I think that's one of the tricks they tell you to avoid sometimes. Like, yes, that is a grammatically correct sentence, but awkward to read.
And that's Actually, I'm looking, and I'm thinking about this. You don't actually need to second that. And that's servant parameters are... Yeah. And that's servant parameters are actually modifiers for servant stats, thus reflect actual gameplay. With E- being a 0.96 mod and EX being a 1.04 mod. Oh, I thought there was going to be a comma there. God damn it.
There probably should be a comma there.
Which isn't the biggest disparity, but with all the other modifiers in games, every bit counts towards the overall stats we do see. Like EX Luck, Ryder Drake having one of the highest crit star warp stats. Also, to note which parameters affect stack what. Strength is attack, endurance, HP, and defensive NP gain, agility, attack, and crit star generation, mana, death rate, NP gain, and attack, luck, crit star absorbs as hinted by the Drake statement. It's also interesting to note that servants have a hidden trait to dictate if they are a magic or physical attacker, which decides if the attack formula uses strength and agility or just the mana modifier. Of course, there's a lot more to this, but I shouldn't make it any longer. Well wishes to all. Hunter Sensei out.
This is very interesting. I think we've alluded to it before that, like, servant stats do actually matter, but this is the first time I think somebody's taken the time to actually break it down. Some of this is very fun. Like, the idea that, like, they have to program a hidden flag to let you know if a servant is a physical or magic attacker, and then you get whether or not that calculates the, like, less than a percentile modifier of if you do more attack or not. It's very
fun at least.
Yeah. It's cute. Also, I probably should have, but I would not have guessed that defensive NP gain is slightly modified by your end. That's interesting.
Honestly, it makes sense, though.
Yeah, it's just like I said. I'm just like, I never would have thought of that.
Well, we have learned something new, and I hope you all are too. But that is the end of Mailbag. Yeet it!
Good day, Mailbag. Thank you for your time. But funnily enough, ending on that servant note is actually going to be relevant, because now it's time for Chaldea Free Talk, which means we start with new servant deets. So, new Hassan, who dis? As far as I know, and I'm sure, comments will hit me up, but Shining Star hasn't been explicitly shown before, though may have been mentioned, because that is the strange fake assassins, I should say, thing, is that she knows everybody's Zabanias, even the ones that don't make any sense, like having an extra arm. But he is played by the VA known as Ken, in all caps, 2 N's, who some of you might recognize as Jaden Yuki from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, David Martinez from Cyberpunk Edgerunners, or in JP, the Japanese voice of Final Fantasy XIV's Urianger. And he's also done other stuff, but, those are some big highlights that I think that people might know. Anyway, he's a 4-star assassin who's new, and if I'm reading everything right, should be permanent, so always good to see new permanent units, especially in those 4-star slots. Oddly enough, for a Hassan, he seems to be in the higher HP, lower attack, spread of assassins.
I want to cut you off real quick, because I had to double-check this. And yes, actually, Hashina Sarnstein was supposed to be the original assassin in Prototype, and appeared in Fragments of Sky Silver. Originally, but was replaced by Hassan of Serenity, which might be the note of why he is kind of Serenity's senpai.
Okay, all right. And that actually does tie in, because we've talked about this, but the writer for this story segment is the author of Prototype Fragments. So
yes,
that, I guess, we got a chance to actually bust out an old character. All right, cool.
Yeah, like I just thought about it for a second. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
because I remember people talking about like Prototype stuff. I was like, wasn't there a Hassan in Prototype that didn't get used? And I had to go double check that. So
yes, but also Patron Chat has said Hassan of the Drip. This is correct.
This is correct.
Very dripped out. But yeah, so on the higher HP, lower attack spread, and funnily enough, is full QQQAB. Oops, all green deck. He has 6 hit quick cards, but as a result has very low NP gain. It's like 0.27.
Jesus.
So really banking on the fact that you're going to be using those quick cards and probably going to be massaging them with other servants. Do not do meme solo clears. You will need some team support for this, I think. So, NP is an AoE arts, actually, funnily enough. Gives you NP up by 20% for 3 turns first, and also gives you a quick and arts up based on overcharge first. I think that's just for 1 turn, but that scales with overcharge. So you're getting multiple damage steroids just whenever you NP. Sounds good. But also, it does bonus damage to enemies of the human, the man attribute. Okay, yes, the Quicken Arts is for 1 turn, and it's 20 to 40%. So you're always getting 20% NP damage up for 3 turns and 20% Quicken Arts up, including, obviously, on your NP for 1 turn. It does bonus damage to the man attribute, 150% extra damage, but does deal 1,000 damage to self. This may be why he's more HP. But yeah, if that NP sounds really good, it's because it does have a demerit. But it's only 1,000 life, so who cares? The only one that matters is the last one. First skill is a further, on the skill, 20 to 30% arts and quick up for 3 turns, and also gives him a 20% attack up if you are on a darkness battlefield. That's right, new battlefield trait. I'm pretty sure nobody's actually used the darkness modifier before. It did exist, but we now have the reverse Gawain. We have a character who likes when it's dark and dank. But it's only a 20% attack up, so it's not a huge deal. Second skill is a 2 hits, 3 turns evade, and also gives an on-attack buff for 3 turns, which gives a 10% crit damage up on quick cards for 3 turns when you proc it. So every attack gives you 10% critical damage up on quick for 3. So that can stack up for quite a while. Also gives him 52 100% star gen for 3 turns. That's right. This guy doubles his star gen for 3 turns. Presumably this is to make you generate stars on your arts NP, Caskill style. But still, for a character who already has 6-hit quick cards, doubling your star generation is crazy on an assassin. Like, you are going to cap out every time. But also, we have a final skill. This gives a 30 to 50% crit damage for 3 turns on self. Gives another attack buff, which activates for 3 turns, which is when you hit with a quick card, you gain 10% NP. Yeah, that's right. We've got Dioscuri-style quick batteries here. Who needs NP charge? NP gain, naturally. And also gives him 20 to 30% NP gain for 3 turns. With his result already being 0.27, I don't know if that 30% really matters. But when you are already 3 quick cards, which are 6 hits, which means that 0.27 is going to be fairly decent overall. Also giving yourself 10% per quick card for 3 turns, you should have no problem actually, generating NP and possibly even setting up loop turns because you're adding, quick and arts ups every time. Passives are Presence Concealment A for just generally having higher crit star gen as well. And also, interestingly enough, Oblivion Correction B, which is normally reserved for Avengers. This increases his critical damage by 8% flat all the time. Also, by the way, not super shocking, giving some of the vibes we're getting, but his append skill is Anti-Assassin. But yeah, Shining Star seems like he's going to be a great quick arts looper for farming, absolutely styling up on enemies with crit up and NP generation. Should have absolutely no trouble with pre-existing quick or arts teams for that NP steroid to get in there and do quite a good job. Even has potential to do boss clears because you're going to be generating so many stars, you are absolutely going to be guaranteeing those crits. And when you get multiple stacks of 10% critical damage up on quick cards and you have 3 quick cards, it's really not that hard to arrange those crits. So yeah, this is a permanent unit, by the way. Like I said, unless the wiki hasn't updated those notes. That's great. Good work. I love it. Love to see it with permanent 4 stars. But that means it's time to talk about our much-anticipated Mary Alter, a new SSR Avenger. She is story-locked to id clearance, so keep that in mind. Funnily enough, for Avengers, she's kind of in the middle of their attack and HP spread. Already, Avengers are naturally higher attack, lower HP anyway, but like I said, she's kind of in the middle. She's around Dantes' stats. I think she has the same HP, but a slightly different attack stat. She is quick arts buster, with high hit counts and slightly below average NP gain as a result. She's 4 hits on everything, including her buster card, and is 0.4 NP gain flat. So, pretty averagely rounded all out there. Now, you're going to want to follow me with this one, kids. So she's got an NP. It's AoE Arts. Shocking, I know, on an Avenger. AoE Arts. Actually, I don't know how many AoE Arts Avengers there are besides Summer Kama, but...
Most important one, in my opinion.
Is Summer Arise AoE or single target? I don't remember. But it is kind of funny because Mary Antoinette is a AoE quick that they went AoE Arts. Space Ishtar's default is Arts, obviously, but part of her gimmick is that she can be whatever. So it's a fun one. But still, she is AoE Arts. So her NP first, by the way, this is actually important for stuff later. So first, Affects enemies with 1k curse for 5. Also, 100% evil curse for 5, so it's actually 2k curse damage for 5 turns. All curse damage is doubled. Reduces their charge by 1, and has a chance to instant kill. I'm pretty sure this instant kill is calculated after all that as well, because it says it at the bottom and doesn't say calculated first. Also, what is... Yeah, Altered Nito, who is also an Avenger, is AoE arts. So it's very popular right now. But obviously she has her own vibes. Also, based on Overcharge, she increases her NP damage first on OC. So, quite a wide variety of buffs there. Like I said, NP gain, little below average. But that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because her first skill is a 20 to 30% battery on self. 10 to 20% NP per turn. That's right. 20% NP per turn.
Jesus.
I believe that lasts 3 turns, but I will double check the length because I have clicked away. But we're just making it cook. Yeah, it's 20% per turn for 3 turns at max level. But also gives her an on hit when she is hit with an attack buff for 5 times 3 turns to also just gain 10% NP when hit with an attack. Keeping in mind, Avengers already have that passive that increases how much NP they generate defensively. And by default, Mary Antoinette Alter generates 5% NP when she's hit with an attack anyway. So this makes it 15%, 5 times 3 turns. You do not have any problem charging NP. If you don't mind getting hit, that is. But still, 20% charge per turn is really going to help with arts looping. By the way, her NP is, 4 hits, so it's pretty average to AoE. Second skill is a 3k to 5k curse for all enemies for 3 turns. We'll talk more about how that math works out later, but yeah, it's a 5k curse for everybody for 3 turns. A 20 to 30% damage up for on self versus cursed enemies, and also 20 to 30% arts up overall for 3 turns. This is why the fact that her NP curses enemies first is important. It means that you will always get your damage proc. Even if you, kill them, you will still get it if you're looping, which is great. But that's not all. Not only does Mary Alter have the charges, not also does she have the dots, she also has a phenomenal team-wide defensive skill as an Avenger. Her final skill is a 3 hits, 3 turns invul on self, a party-wide 1-3 guts for 1k to 3k, pretty normal, and also a 1k to 3k team heal. That's right, she's got a hard defense that also heals your team for 3k and gives them a 3k guts if you're max leveled. And admittedly, this is her longest charge skill, with a minimum cooldown of 7 turns, but still, damn, it's good. It's real good. For passive, she has the normal Avenger, which is the one I mentioned earlier where you get more NP gain on passive. She's got Oblivion Correction for extra crit, and also has the Avenger's self-replenishment, so she gains 3.6 NP every turn anyway. Now, I will admit, I am out of touch with the JP meta right now. This seems crazy. For starters, if she's doing her moves right, we're talking about 12k curse damage per turn for 3 turns, because the curse is going to add up and it's going to be doubled. Bonkers. Multiple damage steroids, always hitting that damage up on curse for 30%. You've got a 30% arts up. Your overcharge is giving you at least 20% NP damage up. If you're improving that at all, you're talking about a maximum of 40% up. And just so much NP charge. This is going to be crazy for loops and also really good for bosses because she's got a great defensive skill and arts is already one of the tankiest team comps. We've talked at length about how, back in the day, the long-term stall strat was just double Jeans or Jean Tamamos, you just heal so much. This still really works out that, with the inclusion of other arts-focused defenders like, obviously we have Castoria now, and you're looking at, the potential inclusion of Lady Avalon, Prototype Merlin as well. This is great. This is real strong. So yeah, her, funnily enough, I think this is very, very humorous. Her bonus damage, her append skill, is versus Riders. Also, people have noted, the general vibe people get from Mary Alter is that she was probably, based on how her Ascension arts and sprites and stuff have gone, she was probably planned for a hypothetical Requiem collab rerun, like we usually do, but unfortunately we stopped doing reruns, so they kind of had to put her back in the hopper. And it seems to be for the better because she now actually has multiple distinct Ascension art styles, with her third one being the look you remember from that event. And also, for unknown reasons, as people like to say, she gained 5 kilograms between first Ascension and the second and third. Many, many jokes about where the kilograms were gained. I also do like this note that they talk about how her technically she's no longer a human attribute. She switched to Earth because technically she has innocent monster applied. Oh. Sorry, I'm just flexing. But yeah, no, we've got quite a lot of fun stuff here. So yeah, both of these servants seem really good. Glad to see it. Especially with a unit that's had her story sprites for a while, finally freed from NPC jail. It's always good to see when they do give everybody the full effect, and I'm very curious to see what future banners will be like, because right now it definitely seems like this banner is the real goo. But that is our new servant Ditales, which means it's time for a pregames, the Monster Crisis pregame. Your preferred flavor of word for ocean. Let's talk about that one a little. As I said before, that is coming up probably next week. It'll be already out, I assume, by the time we record the show on Friday, and if not, the maintenance will probably be that day. So it'll be started by the time we post the show the Saturday. So, we're cooking. So let's talk about Water Monster Crisis. This is a slightly time-gated, but also a production-type event. For those of you who've played a lot of FGO events, think of it like some summers or like the Enmity. You're basically going to gather resources and spend them on a type of quest. This will unlock story progression. Specifically, you're going to complete free quests to collect little guys. I call them little guys throughout this because I'm not exactly sure on the pronunciation. They are called, I assume, Con, with a hard C, but it might be a soft C.
I'm not sure.
But it's like C-O-N. It's Vietnamese, and that is not a phenome group I'm very familiar with, so to avoid any future confusion, I will just be calling them little guys. There are 3 types of little guys for you to collect. You spend them in production quests after gathering them in free quests. These will alter the island they are on, which is the setting of the event, and also clear further story. Much like other production-type games later, after you've cleared the main story, you can actually go back, reset your island, and see what the other choices look like. So very, very classic type of event that we haven't seen in a while. Also, in main story quests, what production quests you do, what choices you do, will give you different story support at certain points. It's not a big deal, just keep it in mind. This event does require you to clear Lost Belt 2 to play, but we'll have spoilers up to LB6. Specifically, Morgan is involved, so keep your eyes and ears out for that one.
Yeah.
Now, this may shock you, but this is actually quite a long event. I believe this may be our first 3-week one, and they actually padded it out to make it make sense. Because this is going to be 18 acts long and a prologue and epilogue. Completing this will net you 1 copy of the 3-star CE, 18 Saint Quartzes, a Grail, and your first copy of our new Alter Ego Welfare, Taisui Shinjun. So yes, there's a welfare for this event. It's just way at the end, which is why a lot of people didn't realize it right away.
Oh.
There's no temporary copy, so you got to go all the way to the end. But yeah, 18 Saint Quartz and a Grail, plus welfares. Not so. Enemies are pretty normal, but can get a little chunky. For types of mobs, expect to see some crab. There are new mermen, who are assassin-type mobs who drop shells. Please kill all the mermen. Defeat the deep ones. There are collies, ghouls. There's a new mini-boss, rider-type, which is a kelpie, straight up.
Oh. Okay.
There's going to be some vengeful ghosts, as in the kind of, spooky girl ghost you saw first in the Karno Kyokai collab, but those type of ghosts. There's also a big merman lancer boss, a sea lancer, if you will. So they have a mini-boss variant of merman. Most mobs in the main story only get as high as 120k HP, but bosses can be chunkier. Specifically, the Kelpie is 190 to 10,000 HP. It's got break bars. The Merman Lancer is going to be 393 and then 454. So, like, actual Lost Belt type numbers of HP. Our final boss is a Berserker, who I will not be spoiling. But they have 411, 447, and 531,000 HP. When you break some of those bars, you're going to get some buff block for a few turns.
Uh-oh.
But you do get story buffs first, like your team gets extra healing and attack. So It shouldn't be too complex. These bosses with break bars do have a couple of different mechanics, but I looked over them. None of them are really deep. It's just Enemies might get slightly more crit rate, you might get slightly more attack up or defense. In some cases, which choice you pick for the production quest to unlock that main story will affect what buffs or debuffs you have. I could hypothetically run down every single possible choice, but there are 18 nodes of this, so that would probably get very repetitive and droning. You can always double check online what you're looking at and just make sure to read your options ahead of time, because I'm sure that they will telegraph in story what they do. But it does seem like there's a decent amount of interaction here. You do also usually have access to story supports. I will mention who the normal support servants are, and so you can expect to see a few of those guys out there. But your free quests are going to be monoclass. They cap out at around 150 or 160k HP, so still chunky, but not a huge deal. But there is, our usual 90++ node. That will be 131, and has a boss who has, the final boss is 220k HP, so you will need to prep a little for that one. Though obviously you can do the normal nodes.
What's the class on that one?
Let me double check. I think it was Lancer, but I will.
Could I do 131?
Monster Crisis. Free quests. The finalist node, which only unlocks after the epilogue. Yes, it is, because it's got the Mighty Merman in it. It's Lancers. You have a Loch Ness, which is a dragon, as the first enemy. You have some mermen as the middle enemies, and then Bradamante is the final boss as the Lake Sheriff.
Lake Sheriff.
I hope that translation gets kept. Once again, for those of you out there who are used to QP farming, there's also another epilogue node, which is all monoclass and is 333. That's all casters. So I won't give you as many currency drops, obviously, but will be manageable. Clearing your free quests gets you apples, almost exclusively silver and gold apples, interestingly enough. And the final one is 100 mana prisms. So obviously, if you can do your 90++, you're going to get, bigger drops, fatter stacks. Also, stacks. Will drop, that one drops seashells and Lancer skill gems,
very important.
Yeah, so good one to keep out there. But there is another 90+ node that's all monoclass and 333 if you can't come up with a unusual or exotic farming comp. I know for a fact that it is sometimes hard when they do those non-standard ones. I've been in Tesla Fest just eating the extra turn or two on RNG to have my normal QP farming team with my NP2 Writer Da Vinci just crush them. But it is a little awkward sometimes. You don't always get those perfect 3 turns. But yeah, should be pretty manageable there. And like I said, much lower HP pools than the main story. The production quests are pretty simple. They just take little guys. There are 3 kinds. They're conveniently all different colors. There's a blue one, a red one, and a yellow one. They also have all different expressions. There's no battles. Completing them, just spends currency and gives you silver apples, interestingly enough. Also, little guys are a shop currency. So you will need to collect a certain amount of them to exchange for Taisui's Ascension items, servant coins, and also they're good for QP at the end of the event after you've earned them all. So, that's always fun when you can turn in extra currency you don't need for QP, because you always need QP. After clearing the epilogue, there will be 4 extra quests. Each of these is good for an NP copy of your new Taisui. These do include serious bosses, but no break bars, so expect guys to be at the 400k HP amount, but no break bars, so there will not be as much of a slog, but they will require you to actually get in there and get started. Though if you can afford your Ascension items on your Taisui, that should probably be pretty good, because the event bonus is very simple. Our new Welfare Taisui gets plus 100% damage and 50% bond, as does the new Saber Trunk Sisters. So, very simple. The new event servants get the biggest bond, but it is plus 100% damage. And servants such as Aresh, Summermelt, Writer Da Vinci, Semiramis, Wu, Morgan, and regular Melt get 50% damage and 30% bond up. Mash also gets 50% damage and 5% team bond. It's a very small list, but still, Aresh, Morgan, and Little Da Vinci means that you do have some high-quality farmers in your plus 50% damage range. Should enable you to run through some of those boss fights. Also, where alter egos are good, regular Melt, absolutely great boss killer, even without 50% damage up. So you should have some fun there. Your 200%ers, so that's Taisui and the Trunk Sisters, they give you bonus drop to all 3 kinds of little guys. I believe it's just double. Otherwise, you get +1 from a different class, so each class is one of the different little guys arranged into 3 categories. Again, very reminiscent of Summer 1. Hopefully this lines up with classes for nodes, but if it doesn't, you do have an opportunity to like get, your all 3 types of little guys from those late quests. So yeah, farming it up shouldn't be too hard to finish up everything. So you are going to need to pay attention to your class selection, though, if you want those bonuses in your back row. But in addition to that simple event bonus, there is also normal currencies to drop. These are spent in your shop. The shop includes 4 copies of the Event CE. The Event CE increases little guy type drops. And yes, I know, they probably should have included that 5th copy, but they didn't. You can also get all your command codes in there. You're looking at 3 lures in the shop, 1 for each currency type. You've also got your fine selection of EXPs, foes, unlockers. Your statues flavors of the week are Sabers, Lancers, and Berserkers. And you also get match mats. Anyway, materials for ascensions and skills such as spinal fluids, dream scales, stingers, seeds, feathers, pomegranates, big bells, bicorn horns, and mirrors. All of which I'm sure will be very good. I know that for a fact that dream scales very intense for some of our favorite LB-related servants. And also for some of our not LB-related servants, because technically LB6 came out before append skills in JP, so a lot of Knights of the Round got stuck with dream scales. I remember doing my Mordred append skills. But also during this time period, you're going to get a rank up on Wu. Her IP is going to get ranked up.
Okay.
So you're going to see an improvement there. Summer Melt's costume for her glasses will be added in dressmaking as well. Coming back from that. Your first banner will be new SSR Saber Trunk Sisters and also Lambdarillis. So Summer Melt. And your second banner will be Morgan and Wu Zetian. Let me double check. Are the Trunk Sisters limited or not? I think they are, but I will look again. Event info, summon campaign number 1. Yeah, they are limited. It will shock nobody that, I don't actually think that by this point any units that are designed for FGO are really bad, but in terms of, single target arts sabers, the Trunk Sisters are not as spicy as, say, Dioscuri, who are permanent. So, that's kind of a weird space we're in. I will not shock you to know that I'm pretty sure in JP, the Morgan banner as the banner 2 was a lot more popular. Obviously, I don't need to roll on either of these banners because I'm, saving for other stuff. Charlemagne's, not that far off. I might try the tickets to see if I can get Summer Melt, but yeah. And honestly, despite the fact that this event is actually kind of long, like I said, there's 18 acts, and you got a prologue and epilogue, and a little bit of little post-game clear-up. This event's pretty straightforward. You just spend little guys on production, move down the list. There's no, as far as I can see, the mechanics are pretty straightforward. There's not like a mission list or anything. You're just getting little guys, getting some stuff, and moving on. Your main thing is you're going to focus on farming little guys, and that may be a little difficult because you do have a fairly narrow bonus list, and some of these guys are beefy. But if you are a longtime FGO player, you will probably have some solutions for some of these high HP levels. Also, if you're curious, the buff to Wu's Imperial Privilege is going to be team-wide critical damage up, and also gives the party-wide 10% NP gauge. Gives her some more team-wide support, kind of, giving her a role in team buffs and debuffs. Sorry, yeah. But yeah, that's the pregame. Like I said, it's fairly straightforward. And while I did mention there are 18 acts, there are like 3 or 4 pips in the middle of that are all no battles, just all story building. Do know that, like I mentioned, it is time-gated as well, though, so like there will be times when you will be caught up with production quests but not able to do next story. So, should be pretty basic. Might be a little long and drawn out, but I do believe... Once again, I don't know why I keep closing my tabs of extra information, but let me once again pull that back up. But, Sea Monster Crisis was April 6th to the 27th in JP, which is... Yeah, that's the 3 week. So, this is how 3 weeks work. So, don't be too concerned about how long this will take. You got plenty of time. And the time gates are done after like 1 week. So yeah, get ready to enjoy our, new 3 week rotation style. And that's about that. And that brings us to the end of Caldea Free Talk. Only thing left is the What's Up.
The What's Up?
We won't be here too long. It's, 11:30 at night. And I do gotta edit this at some point. And also, like I said, I've been feeling a little under the weather, feeling a little sweepy.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Though I have talking to you and using my mouth muscles has galvanized me slightly. But I'm sure that I'll say that, and then I'll do the thing I did like Wednesday or Tuesday, where I was like, "All right, let's hell dive." Actually, no, it's late. I should get out of there. Immediately do a giant like full cartoon yawn, and I'm like, okay, it was the right time to quit.
Yeah.
I was clearly holding that in. But do have a couple of things. Obviously, like we said, now both Lucky and I have beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you want to know our thoughts on like the ending, where it's at, how incandescently hyped we are for a third game, which I know is wild because, like, you know, a month ago we were incandescently hyped for the second game. Hey, they're doing a good job. You can go watch the spoiler cast. I warn you, it is a spoiler cast. Lucky literally replays the ending on stream, so like, watch out for that. But it's out there. Like I said, overall, my general thoughts is I would say it's probably a solid, you know, A+, 9 out of 10 for me. It's not a perfect game, but for the most part, my annoyances and flaws are quickly smoothed over by how high quality it is. I can't wait for that soundtrack to drop. I think it's April, but it might be later. But Square Enix Music Channel has already started posting previews, some of which are quite late.
Mm-hmm.
They've got can you know, listen to the Cry of the Planet, the battle edit up already, which is wild. Also, that song is wild. It's really great. I do believe they did post the battle edit for either the normal or the battle version of Mount Coral, though.
Oh shit! I gotta
as part of the preview. Yeah, no, it's in the rotation.
I gotta go see that.
Yeah, so like,
what do they call that?
Let me actually double check. YouTube Square Enix Music Channel. Sorry if you heard some slight music stretch there. So let's see. You've got oh no, okay. That's a capture then. No, I'm sorry. That I think was just called Towards Mount Coral. The 5 official ones that have been posted are main theme of Final Fantasy VII Battle Edit, Heavy Heart Seabreeze Stroll. That's the outside Costa del Sol region. Towards Mount Nebel. Listen to the Cries of the Planet Battle Edit, and Rufus's Welcoming Ceremony 7th 10 Hut. So yeah, that's from the rhythm game. But yeah. Also, they have a video soundtrack version of the entire original FF7 soundtrack up, which is also really good. But like I said, people have been mining the soundtrack, so I'm very, very anticipating seeing that one come out, because there's so much really good stuff in there. And some of it that I'm like, I don't know if I got to like hear all, 90 movements or whatever in it. There's like, in one of the Genova versions that's part of where this game covers in the timeline, there's like 4 phases to that boss fight. Maybe more, technically. I don't actually know how many parts the OST track is broken up into, so there's a lot of stuff there. There's not... I don't think there was a moment quite like Midgar Expressway where we had, like 4 or 5 different movements remixing all the major leitmotifs of the game, but there's still some really good stuff in there. But yes. Check out the spoiler cast if you want to catch up on that. Otherwise, just generally kind of been, like I said, I've been kind of in the downwind phase after beating Rebirth. So I haven't really done a lot with other video games, but I am eager to get back to P3R, especially because other video games keep coming out. Lucky, I know you've actually been playing Unicorn Overlord.
Oh, I've been playing a fuck ton of Unicorn Overlord. See, Unicorn Overlord has unfortunately engaged the fucking part of my brain that I don't get to use too often, which is just mindlessly grinding.
Oh, boy.
No, because Unicorn Overlord, it's like, as I said, it's a send-up of a lot of classic tactical RPGs out there, and like the leveling up system is like reminiscent of like Fire Emblem. Actually, depending on, you probably ask a dozen people like what this game reminds you of, and you'll probably get a dozen answers, so I won't try to necessarily get that. But
it probably reminds people of their favorite tactics RPG.
Yeah, which I think is fair. But like I said, I've been playing it for a while. I've actually restarted it twice, because every time I get farther, I was like, oh, I realized something, and it kind of messes me up. Like, the most recent restart was because I realized that all the shop stock is limited. Shops don't restock. Once you buy everything in a fucking shop, it's gone forever. Meaning, if you sell an item, it's gone forever. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't dislike this, but I didn't actually understand the repercussions of what I was doing here. And so I have undercoded this very dumb idea of like, I'm gonna go buy out every single fucking shop in this game.
Well, very doable.
Huh? It is doable because, again, like I said, I have found the grinding spots, which is a little hilarious, as I think I'm like 8 levels of, like, I believe the max the max level in this game is 50. My main team is level 30 right now. I'm still doing like level 22 content. Like that's how much I've been grinding. I do like that they let me grind out things though. There are some games that where you only really get to use, the story battles or little things here and there to kind of progress things, especially like in earlier titles of such and stuff. They didn't give you enough freeform. So I appreciate that. It's like, no, if you just want to sit here for like 6 hours and mindlessly just redo this one battle, well, actually it's two battles over and over and over again, go for it. I'm like, yes, I will. But no, I will agree with a lot of people here. The story is very cookie cutter basic. Nothing really crazy happens, and I wouldn't like. While the dialogue is okay, I still don't understand what people are fighting over localization choices on this. I really don't. While the dialogue is good enough and the story is okay, it's not, like I said, it's nothing to write home about. But like I said, I enjoy the combat. I really, excuse me, do. Because it's like, I think I talked about this before. It's really simple. You have a squadron of dudes. You can have a max to 5, and you can have like up to 10 different units, with 5 members each. And you can just deploy them and, send them running across the field. And basically they use an FF12 gambit system to determine how and where they attack. And you basically just got to set it up so that your system attacks synergizes well with everybody else's, to, unleash devastation upon thine enemy. And everyone has like things are good of, like soldiers, which use spears, are good against cavalry. Which is interesting because cavalry are usually pretty good against infantry. But then you have the infantry archers who are good against, flying enemies, but there are flying enemies that, are good at taking out things like cavalry or such things. You have like infantry boys who are armored but have low magic defense. You have sorry, I'm just trying to think. There's a lot under the hood in making things work, and things like you have magic users who are of course very squishy but can blow up armor dudes who can tank just about everything except magic.
Yeah, sounds generally like tactics RPGs I've played. It is there anything that like stands out to you as kind of like a mechanic that you're like, oh, that's different than how I thought it would have worked? Or does it feel like generally, if you've played a Fire Emblem, a Tactics Ogre, you'll come into this and be like, oh, no, I get how this works. Let me guess. Archers are good against flying units.
I think probably the most unique bit about this is their point system. Basically, all units have points. They have their active points and their passive points. Actives are red, passives are blue. And you can only do as many actions as you have points. And different moves will like cost different amount of points, and this is like what goes into the gambit system here. You have to basically I spend a fair amount of time staring at my gambit and being like, all right, I don't want this to trigger here because I want to be able to use this just in case. But if I don't, I need to save some for healing just in case something. So there's a lot. I wasn't expecting like the gambit system to be so in depth because again, you don't actually control your characters when you get into combat. Like they move automatically. They move according to the gambit system. So if you, like the default gambits they give you are all right, they'll get you through. But if you want to like maximize efficiency on units, you have to get in there and fiddle. Like one of the most common things that I found is healers usually have a healing spell. And they always have it set to trigger if your unit falls under 100% health. Which, I was like, no, don't do that. Because if you get hit for 1 health, one of your healers will probably pop an ability using one of their power points to just heal that 1 HP. I'm like, no, that's a waste of resources. So I usually have to dial on. If it does a minor heal, I dial like, if they're below 75% health, they'll heal. If it's a moderate heal, if they're below 50% health. To do things, I need to specify targets. Like, there's some attacks that will hit either because all your units are in a 2x3 grids. You can fit 5 people in them. So, there are some units that can attack rows or can attack a column, and so I'm like, okay, it's okay to use this attack, but only if the attack will hit a full column or a full row. Otherwise, I don't think I'm getting my bang for my buck here, and so. Like, I was kind of expecting it when I played the demo, but no, actually, like, it's enjoyable. It's fun to like tinker around and find out what works. And sometimes you'll like try to change one thing and everything just collapses. And then you just do like I'm actually doing a bit of a cheeseball strat because I have hyper tuned my my leader unit that's with my main boy in it to like be super effective at what they do. So usually most of my maps is not me actually doing this like, you know, giant tactical movement. It's me summoning my main boy who there are promotable classes in here, which is quite fun. You go from a lord to a high lord, which is a cavalry unit, so you can actually move very quickly. And I summon my wing unit, which has an ability called Hasted Call, which basically increases unit mobility on the field. I slap that on him, and I'm just like, all right, my boy, run! And he just dashes across the field to the boss, and usually can get to it before too much time has gone through. Which is fun, and I like enjoying that. Like that's another thing I enjoyed. You have something called Valor skills, which are basically field effects. Basically, as you capture outposts and defeat enemies, you gather Valor points, and then they let you do fun little things like you teleport units around, you can heal units, you can do indirect fire, you can boost stats of some sort, put like fields down. It's like a lot of things to do battlefield control. Something else that I enjoy but I don't necessarily use as much is I like that they have a bunch of just fun little items you can throw down. Like you can throw down barricades to hold off enemies. You can throw something called down mantlets, which is just like temporary fortifications for a bit of a defense boost. You can put down mines. You can put down mines. You can throw items to reveal units. There's like a lot of little things in the battles that can makes you feel involved and stuff. So I'm just like, no, I'm really enjoying it. I've almost put like 48 hours into this game. I'm like not even halfway through it. I will say like 10 to 20 hours of it, it's just me grinding, like freaking mindlessly grinding, getting more gold so I can like get more shops, get more stuff out of the shops.
You're putting all the time in.
Yeah, no, like I'm enjoying. I'm probably gonna go back to it.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list though. I feel like to just prevent the backlog from becoming unmanageable, I do have to finish P3R because I have started having quite a lot of hours into that. Speaking of 40-hour clears.
Like I said, there's a plus and a minus. There's a lot of units in this game. I mean, a lot of units. Because you have your human units, and human units are promotable. So, a fighter becomes a vanguard, a soldier becomes a sergeant, high lord becomes a lord. Then you have your normal ones then you have other ones like archer becomes a sniper, a thief becomes a rogue, that stuff. You have all that number of stuff, like a knight becomes a great knight, a radiant knight becomes a sanctified knight. But there's also like unique ones, like there's a priestess becomes a high priestess, you only get one of those. Alain's like one of them, he's a lord, becomes a high lord. But then you get like into like specific race ones. I'm currently in the elf lands, and like there's like elf units in there. And then there's the bestial country. There's going to be beast units. And then there's feather folks. I'm all like, there's a lot of dudes. I have 10 units. I can only fit 5. And that means I can like field maybe 50 units. And you're giving me all these units. I don't know what to do with them all. Because the game will just throw units at them. You can recruit mercenaries to fill in like holes and stuff. But like strictly speaking, you don't have to. Like I'm weird. I like having like certain symmetries and stuff in here. Like I can't throw just like 5 unique units into one. Well, I can for my main unit, but that's because that's a hyper spectrum one. Everyone else needs to have a theme. Like I have my lane unit who has the High Lord, the Valkyrie, the Druid, the Sorceress, and what was the 5th one? Oh yeah, the High Priestess in it, which is well balanced around on the team. But my second unit is what I call my cavalry unit, which has two sanctified knights, 2 great knights, and a dark knight in it. All cavalry based units that I can play off each other. My wyvern, my flying unit has 2 wyvern masters and 3 griffin masters. For a very solid air unit. Then I have what I call as my breaker team, which is 2 gladiators, 2 breakers, and a cleric. I have to put a cleric in there because while the gladiators do have high high health and can heal themselves, they take too much damage. They don't have a lot in the way of mitigation, so you need someone to help them heal through the damage. So I always like have like little teams and themes and stuff. I can't just throw a bunch of random units into it and call it good. Like for the yesterday I was scratching my head because I'm in the Elflands and I'm like, all right, so they gave me more elves than I can just make a single unit, but not enough elves that I can make 2 units. So I need to go find some elves so I can make 2
this is gonna be very uneven.
Yeah, so I'm just like,
no, I totally like understand that kind of like, especially because with the gambits, like the micromanaging, like to circle back to that, like the moment you started talking about, oh yeah, healers are set up to do it when you're below 100%. I had to change that. I'm just like, I'm literally flashing back to Final Fantasy 12. And I'm like, okay, so Kira on like 50%, Kiraga on like 30%. If we get below 10% HP, that's when you bust out the Kira jaw. That's when we're in real trouble. Like that. I'm like, yeah, no, this totally tracks this kind of gameplay.
No, and like I said, it's all fun. Like I said, I suffer from ADD brain sometimes, and so like sometimes it's hard to make the decision, but I enjoy this kind of indecision. I'm like, ooh, I could try this, but ooh, I can try that. And like I said, the game's actually very generous with letting you set up your units. Like you can actually, this is something I actually found out only a couple days ago, but it's really fun. You can actually I actually got into the habit for a while of not actually having any units. I would just build them in battle, which I can do. Like, you can go into menus, build up a unit in the middle of battle, equip them, and just send them out. You can swap equipment on the fly, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So it's very forgiving in a lot of things. And so if you feel like you're making a bad call, you can, you can adjust on the fly. You don't have to necessarily scrub the entire thing.
Yeah, that's good. As a player of tactics RPGs who's probably number one reason why I am pro the quote-unquote casual mode and other features employed in Fire Emblem games is who the fuck lets a unit die when you have a bad battle anyway? That's a reset, buddy. I have done many map resets, so I'm all for just games streamlining that process. That was actually something, as you're talking about, I was gonna mention is like, a lot of people do like to play, not us, obviously, but a lot of people do like to play these kinds of tactics games to be, a little ball busty. This seems like it is not necessarily made, is not necessarily catered towards those players. There's lots of, seems like there's lots of support and options, for you, the player, which is good. I like the sound of that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've mentioned this. Spoilers. I don't play games to be ball busted. I don't mind games if I like them to play them at the higher difficulties, but also like I need to like. I'm one of those people who's like, I feel like I should enjoy the core gameplay loop at normal first, and then I can choose to get into the challenging stuff. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid 4 before, that's a game that I've beaten literally every difficulty level of, in my time, to get all the stees. Though admittedly, I did, build up because I kept the same save file through all of it. So I did, build up a boatload of Drebin points to do, what is the final difficulty of Metal Gear these days? Is it the boss extreme or big boss extreme?
I think it's big boss extreme.
It involves the phrase boss, but yeah, no, I've beaten Metal Gear Solid 4 on that difficulty, for instance. I don't remember how much of a pain in the ass it was at the time. I'm sure, like I said, whenever that mention of the collection comes out, I will be back in the trenches because that'll come with a whole new, selection of trophies. And I don't actually have a lot of the Metal Gear Solid 4 trophies because that was a very late update in Metal Gear Solid 4's life cycle. So that'll be fun to go back and get all those chivos. It'll be a very interesting time to see how the difficulty is these days. But yeah, like I'm okay playing games at those higher difficulties if I really, really like them first. But yeah, I'm glad to see that it sounds like this game is very, very accessible, very flexible. I know that sometimes with tactical and strategy games, the game designers like to make things not flexible, so you have to like pre-plan. I much more enjoy when the game designers are like, "Hey, here's the field, here's the puzzle. You figure it out. You go out there." Like when it feels much less like there is a proper solution, we just have to keep resetting until we find the right set of chess moves. Where it's just like, nah, however you figure this out, that's you. And trust me, I definitely feel like there have been some Fire Emblem maps in the day where I've been like, well, there's only one way to do this, and if you've done it wrong, time to reset.
Yarp.
But yeah, no, I'm totally seeing myself. You talking about the well, they gave me enough elves, more elves for 1 unit, but not enough elves for 2 units. I'm just like, oh no, yeah, that's gonna bother me. Unless there's some kind of other unit that thematically goes with elves, I don't see myself, building half an elf team. That just doesn't sound right. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Like I said, I'll be getting to it when my backlog is a little squished. Cause God, there is so many good games coming out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but speaking of games coming out, Dragon Dogma 2 and Rise of the Ronin both came out.
Yeah.
Both are doing something.
Yeah. I haven't actually heard anything bad per se about Rise of the Ronin. Its Metacritic score is a little more middle.
Yeah.
It's got some highs, but it's got some lows. It's overall is 76 on Metacritic, though again that's mostly positive green, and then probably about a third are yellow, so no outright bad reviews.
No, from what I understand, a lot of people are taking issues with the graphics.
Yeah, I literally don't notice that, so I don't care if that's a negative. Yeah.
Listen, one of these days, I'm going to need someone to actually sit down and explain to me how better graphics make a game better.
Consistent. I have turned a corner in that, especially if the frame rates are consistent, higher frame rates are usually better because that makes the animation smoother, gives you more time for the game to process your motions. That can actually matter, hitting those higher frame rates for some types of games. For some types of games, it doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. But and especially if your frame rate is inconsistent, that can be a problem for the player, just because that can suck you out of it. I still don't have a 4K television, so I don't care if a game can't hit 4K graphics.
Yeah, I need someone to actually sit down and explain what visual fidelity means.
I'm literally looking at a 7.5 from IGN Italy that says, fails to impress with open world, sandbox, or graphical fidelity, and I'm just what does that mean? What does that mean in this context? Also, by the way, IGN Spain gave it a 9 out of 10, saying a beautiful game, complex and simple at the same time. So it feels like Rise of the Ronin is one of those games that you gotta vibe with, right? You gotta have the right vibes. If you don't vibe, you're not clocking.
Pretty much.
And then Dragon's Dogma 2 is a very funny kind of comparison to that point, because it sounds like in general reviewers are kind of in the middle, but still has a fairly strong rating. It is a PlayStation exclusive at the moment, so it's probably being judged a little more harshly on that respect. Dragon's Dogma, on the other hand, has a overpoweringly high rating. The console versions for Xbox and PS5 are in the high 80s. They're 86. They're basically all positive and only a few mixed. The Metacritic for PC is actually at 90, extremely high, which is funny because consumers are reporting that the game is kind of under-optimized on PC. Quite a few people have been having problems, especially because it is an open-world game, the first open-world game on the RE engine, Capcom's proprietary engine they've been using for a lot of stuff lately. People have been talking rumors about, killing off NPCs to reduce CPU load and stuff like that, because does apparently make it chug a little bit. And I'm pretty sure as of right now, actually, no, I can pull up Steam in my browser.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be either a mostly negative or mixed.
But yeah, I'll actually double check that, because on Steam I know on that PC where that higher rating exists, because of that that interplay there, and also for another reason, its reviews are kind of low. They are back up to mixed. They were overly negative earlier.
Okay.
And yeah, I suspect that over time that'll probably get in there as just more people become aware. But yeah, for a while it was overwhelmingly negative, and I even know some people on the internet who were very disappointed. They refunded on Steam and stuff. Because it is one of those things where I didn't necessarily know this narrative, but after picking up on it a little, I'm spreading my awareness, which is obviously something that the internet's not known for. But if you look on Steam, Dragon's Dogma 2 has a boatload of DLC listed.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is for in-game consumable items.
Yeah.
Jail keys, fast travel items, changing your appearance and stuff like that. And I didn't remember this off the top because I only ever played it on the PlayStation and not that much. But apparently the original Dragon's Dogma has a lot of this too.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I was complaining. It's like, why are people complaining about this? This is exactly what happened in Dragon's Dogma 1.
I mean, I think the main thing is that Dragon's Dogma 1 was kind of a cult hit.
True enough. It's I'm sorry, I saw this, I'm like, yeah, no, they're that because you can find those items in game. They're just, not abundant, so you gotta, be careful about them.
It is Dragon's Dogma, the original Dragon's Dogma was released in 2012. The enhanced Dark Arisen was 2013, so it has been over 10 years since this game came out. I strongly suspect that a lot of people were not as aware gamers when it did hit, and so didn't realize that it's got the same one had a lot of these. And I heard it phrased best on somebody in an otherwise unrelated subreddit talking about this whole thing. They're basically noob traps, the DLCs.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, it's not that hard to earn the in-game currency to actually get these items. Mostly, I think it's like Rift Crystals is the in-game currency you spend on a lot of these, which you get through doing pawn stuff. Your pawns being used by other people, sending your pawns out to get stuff. So there are going to be players who are not used to these subsystems who may not be getting the big hits on their own pawns or whatever, or not know how to navigate these menus, that may not be getting some of these items and may be tempted to go could really use that extra key, or could use that thing, or just, oh shit, I changed my appearance. How do I do that? And I do think it is unfortunate that in general, it sounds like Capcom has had this kind of strategy for some of their games, at least for a while. So it's not new. It is kind of always a little I can totally understand when a game comes out right away and you see that there's 90 DLC items on Steam, right? That's going to make some people a little worried if you're coming into this completely blind. Overall, I personally don't object for reasons you mentioned, earlier. That this is how the first Dragon's Dogma was. None of them are needed. It's just it's arguably the kind of thing that it's kind of like a phone game, but it's about the better style of phone game mechanics where you don't actually have to pay for the skip. You can figure it out, and not necessarily through a super long grind. You just got to know what you're doing to get your items. But yeah, it's kind of conflicting. I strongly suspect that the concerning thing is the PC being rough for some people, and Capcom is aware of this and are talking about doing patches and updates. I'll probably be playing this on PS5 just to be safe. Whenever I get around to it. But yeah, it's kind of weird because, like I said, glowing critic reviews. I've heard some conflicting reports on this, but generally it seems like technically journalists were made aware by Capcom that DLC, day one paid content microtransactions would exist, but obviously could not actually get them when they were playing their review copies.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how closely these reviewers read their official ad copy from Capcom, they may not have even been aware of these things. But in general, it seems like the criticals like it all over the place. A wide variety of these critic reviews are very positive. I'm looking at a literal 100 from Good Luck Have Fun from Sports Illustrated, so I assume that's their gaming brand, but somebody gave it a literal perfect score. So that leads me to believe game good. Actually, probably game good.
Some people are just too reactionary, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I know one of these creators was who I know was really turned off by this is Australian. We know for a fact that the currency exchange does not favor Australians. The base game is already $100 Australian dollars, $100.
Yes, I remember seeing that. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I get that that seems very daunting when they want more of your money, but you also don't need to pay more of your money. That said, if the Steam refund is window is 2 hours. If you play it for 2 hours and you don't like the vibes, maybe the game wasn't for you. This is kind of an interesting case where like I said, the original Dragon's Dogma was kind of a cult game,
It really was.
I know a couple of people who really went to bat for it. I played it. I own Dark Arisen for PS3.
Same.
I never got super far in it because it was a super cool game, but the way it's written is very, especially even at the time, very old school. So I just kind of wandered around, found the big city you're supposed to go to right at the gate. I think I went down some stairs into a sewer, got lost, and I was just yeah, I'm not really vibing with this, it lacked the kind of sense of direction that at the time anyway I wanted out of games. and it was, over 10 years ago. But, like, I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It just was a game that I played that I did not, vibe with right away. I'm not, disappointed I played it. And I'm still interested in Dragon's Dogma 2 because it, like, looks pretty cool. Looks like there's a lot of fun stuff. But yeah, we'll have to, see what's the ups and wait for maybe some of them fallouts and see what's up. But yeah, it does kind of seem like there's definitely some odd vibes, I think, with some Japanese companies in DLC. Like, for instance, if you want to do New Game Plus for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, that's technically a paid edition. And I don't know how important that is, but that seems like a feature, right, that would normally be included by default. But if they want to make it paid, that's on them. That game also reviewed super well. Shocking, I know. People seem to like it. I don't know. I think I'd probably go for Rise of the Ronin first, just for like personal preference. But obviously, like I said, the backlog's stacked up, so it'll probably be Unicorn Overlord for me first. Not accounting for the fact that there's stuff happening in April. Obviously, as Lucky knows, and hopefully the audience knows by now, Stellar Blade is finally coming out in April.
Mm-hmm.
But also, hey, we have a date on the final DLC for Final Fantasy 16, The Rising Tide.
Yes.
That will be April 18th. And the base price for the Leviathan DLC will be $20. So I believe we are picking quite a meaty X pack there. Not only will it include new icon abilities and a new icon fight, but there's going to be additional game mode stuff involved. We're getting some early details that involve going to the region that Jill is originally supposed to be from.
Oh, okay.
So Jill is actually supposed to be a prominent part of the story, and I believe it's been revealed you can't even do the DLC quest until you've done her major character side quests.
Makes sense.
So yeah, very solid stuff. There will be a new companion to follow you, and stuff like that. There's going to be some new gameplay modes. There will be like a super boss added and stuff. It seems like there will also allegedly be an epilogue quest. If you do both DLCs and do all side quests, there will be like a little kind of like thank you, look back on everything you've done quest. I don't know if they're gonna because some people have been like, bro, they're gonna change the ending. I don't think they're gonna change the ending per se. They might add some clarity there so that the stuff that is not necessarily thematically important comes through. Like, for instance, I believe it was said at the panel today from Yoshi P that they are actually going to go back and add a cinematic of Clive, as a flashback, Clive removing his bearer brand. Because that was just a thing that happened during one of the many time skips and was just kind of part of the vibe. But apparently, if I'm reading the quotes right, a movie director, asked them, hey, why didn't you show this? And they were just like, huh, you're right, we should show this. And they're just not essential, but peppering in some new story content will be nice. I've heard that the fights in the DLC that came out this winter were also really cool. So I will probably block out some time in April to just buy the season pass and check it all out. They're gonna they said they're gonna improve the way that certain abilities and accessories function. You're gonna be able to save icon loadouts now, so you can switch between 5 different presets. Full button remapping.
Ooh.
Yes. Full custom controls and icon loadouts. They are also plugging away at the PC version. Yoshi P says it's underway. They're still working on it, but they'll let you know when they got an exact date. They are planning on including a version of the PC release will be able to come with both DLC packs right away. So you'll be able to buy the whole thing and play the whole game. So yeah, it seems I know that 16 is a little more controversial and a little less popular than 7 Rebirth. The funny enough, talking of sales, overall, Unicorn Overlord is actually outselling Rebirth in Japan. That is mostly just because of the fact that Unicorn Overlord is also on the Switch. PS5s are still very, very rare in Japan. People love their mobile gaming, which is so. I really hope that that Switch 2 when it comes out is a decent power upgrade, because y'all know, as we just said, I'm not super into graphics as a thing. I do know that the Switch is not a very powerful quote-unquote console, because it really is, more of a handheld with some extra sauce, and that can actually hold back games in terms of, gameplay, rendering, shit like that. I know that a lot of people complained about SMT5 being, Switch exclusive to start, so, I do hope that they can produce a slightly more powerful Switch, because I know that, the Switch market is so huge in Japan, where a lot of these companies are based, so, we're still going to be getting Switch ports for a while. yeah, it does kind of feel like having an option to hit 1080 60 frames is like would be nice if we can guarantee that, at least for some games, where the extra frames matter. But yeah, it still seems like 16's doing really well and getting in there. Also, hey, I'm pretty sure that this time period of the like 18th of April will line up very well with the Final Fantasy 14 and 16 collab. They've already announced that you will be able to, in the DLC, access a Final Fantasy 16 version of Cortana, a paladin weapon from 14.
Nice.
Looking pretty sick. And I believe at the Final Fantasy 16 panel where we got all this information, producer of Final Fantasy 16, Naoki Yoshida, when asked about the Final Fantasy 14 collab, says that unfortunately they're doing a Final Fantasy 14 panel soon this weekend at PAX East, and that the producer and director of Final Fantasy 14, Naoki Yoshida, would be disappointed if producer of Final Fantasy 16, Naoki Yoshida, said anything ahead of schedule.
Oh, it's still the best fucking
It's
joke.
so good. I'm so glad that he's running with it. It's such a good joke. But yeah, so yes, he said he couldn't talk about the 14 collab release date because there's a panel tomorrow that the producer and director Yoshi P will doing, and he should let him talk about that because he'd get mad at him otherwise. It's so great. I'm waiting for him to literally like show up with like an evil mustache and be one of the different Naoki Yoshidas, or like green screen himself in. It'd be so good. But yeah, so we also have 14 news that's cooking. We're gonna, obviously I'm fairly certain we're gonna get the details and date on the quest line for the 16 collab. But also I know a lot of people are highly anticipating that we will actually get our Dawn Trail release date this weekend, and I'm also really hoping for that myself.
Yes.
Having just started Endwalker, I'd love to know kind of like what the timeline we're working with is. Also, we didn't really get to talk about it a lot on stream because you were tired and dipped early. I was kind of tired and ended it like right when we got there. But I have actually started Endwalker, and it's fun. I like what we're doing. It's kind of interesting that like literally the conflict established at the end of the patch content for Shadowbringers is like, hey, we got a guy who's gonna recreate the final days in capital letters, proper nouns. And we're gonna go to Charlie and read some books. But it's still got a good build up. Like I like a lot of the character stuff we're doing, and it's very nice. And I'm sure that it being kind of slower and more gradually paced is going to be important later when I get to the part where it's not slower paced. I'm going to miss those halcyon days of going into the stacks and listening to gentle acoustic guitar music and Charlie. And I'm sure
Charlie in Town theme and the night theme is very good.
Yeah, no, it's real good. I greatly appreciated listening to it when we were out there. But yeah, so check out those streams. We'll be continuing to stream that as I go through. I'll actually probably be able to clock some more 14 time and do a few more things. Though I'm probably not going to go ham until they actually announce their phase 2 of the Moogle event.
Yeah, no, I have not been putting as much 14 time as I probably should.
But yeah, definitely probably get back to my usual leveling rotation, playing around, keeping up with my custom deliveries.
Yeah.
All these people I know, they need fish, and also now that I'm a high enough level miner, rocks. But also not always rocks. I remember one time I was checking with Zoe, where the collectible she wanted from miner was antique coins you could dig up. It's just funnier when they're rocks. But yeah, like I said, I haven't been playing 14 as much because I've been going super ham on 7, but I definitely am we can get back to it. I'm gonna have to do some cleanup, at some point. Got new zones, gonna need ether currents, got other new updates to do, so we'll be keeping at it. But yeah, check all that out. All right, it's after midnight. We've been recording for almost 2.5 hours. Slicky, anything else you want to tell the people about?
No.
Okay.
I had to think about it.
He was thinking. All right. Well, I think I've mentioned everything I wanted to. I didn't write that many notes in What's Up, but I knew we had some stuff to hit. But it probably means it's time to wrap this on up, as I do have to stitch this together and get it out there, get it uploaded for everybody. So be sure to check in with all your stuff. Sorry, I literally ran out of energy at the end of that sentence. I was like, whew, this guy fought off the yawn. But yes, probably is a good time to wrap us up then. Rappius Uppus, the little-known sequel to Thievius Raccoonus. No, I will not stop sly posting. People arguing about yellow paint in video games, and I'm out here, being like, Bentley, am I seeing things or I see blue sparkles? Sly, blue sparkles are your
actually, that reminds me of something, if we don't mind, going for just a minute.
We take a little extra time.
a little extra time. Speaking of the fucking like the yellow paint things, I actually saw something about this because Kotaku's actually been in the news here and there. Apparently, it's maybe reaching its final death rattle, but like one of their editor-in-chiefs just quit not too while ago. They were involved in like one of their writers or other editors were involved in the Sweet Baby investigation of the one of Discord or something. I don't fucking know. But that's not actually what I want to talk about. In my random search, I actually came across one of the Kotaku writers who just not in a fucking like article or something, just him normal ass posting about a video game. He was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and he just showed the screenshot of Barrett looking at the wall in the Mithril Mines, one of the parts we have to claw up. He says, I can't remember what the exact said, but he said me hating yellow painted lines because they break immersion, and then next line also me wandering around an area for 5 minutes because I can't find the handholds.
Yeah, I think I saw that tweet at some point.
It was just such an innocuous fucking normal ass tweet that I was like, I understand this man. But I looked at the fucking replies and it was just full of people being like, yeah, well, you work at fucking Kotaku. Apparently you don't have a fucking brain. I'm just like, guys, really?
Yeah, I don't want to get too into it, but like on the one hand, I'm not mourning that like Kotaku is perishing because but they have been in a bad way for a long time, and that's why we like dunk on their quote-unquote journalistic integrity and stuff, is because they have been perishing and thus have been reaching for stupider and clickbaitier articles. But like I clicked on that trending because I was like, oh, what's Kotaku done now? Well, apparently Geo Media, who owns them, is going to have them plans to have them pivot to game guides, IGN style, and apparently some pretty hellacious posting requirements. Like I think they at some point wanted like 5 guides a day or something, or like 50 in a week. Something which, for like considering Kotaku has been shrinking, sounds untenable. So their editor-in-chief was like, nope, I'm not telling my guys to do that. I'm out. Which is like, when you're talking about a writing outlet, that is probably like the only thing you can do as editor-in-chief, is if management won't listen to you, you got to just be like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm out. And if they let you go, then it was probably the good time to get out. But like I clicked on that trending and like people were bad. They were mean, and I'm like, man, I don't like Kotaku either, but like
there's a difference with like I don't like Kotaku, but they're just people at Kotaku who like there are some fucking dumb people, and I will probably laugh if they get sent out the door, but others of them are just normal ass dudes. Like the Rebirth guy, he was like he wasn't writing a weird article. He was basically making a joke at himself. Yeah, laughing about
that he would be a games journalist who would be like, man, this yellow paint stuff, very obvious, but also is like, I would absolutely get lost.
Yeah, and people are talking about like, and people in the comments are talking about, yeah, the camera like pans towards it when you first get there, dumbass. I'm all like, yeah, but I don't go straight forward. I like to wander around, check out crystals, touch flan. I'm not going to immediately go there, and if I go run around the fucking area 3 or 4 times, I remember where the fucking camera pans, you dumbasses. And it's like, people are just ripping into this guy. I'm like, you can't see me, but I'm doing this, like, touch face, express bewilderment pose right now.
Yeah, no, I know the one.
It's like, I'm just like, I think it's okay not to like things. I think it's okay not to like fucking media outlets and stuff and, call them out on their bullshit. No one should be afraid to say, hey, you're fucking wrong. But there's a difference between saying, hey, you're fucking wrong, and then just insulting a man for, oh God, what do I want to call it? Just a basic human, yes, he was just doing a basic human interaction, and he got condemned for it. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Yeah, that happens a lot more on Twitter these days, I think, which is crazy. And I, like I said, I want to say full disclosure, I have Kotaku blocked on Twitter.
Yeah,
but
same.
That's because they've started like tweeting spoilers and stuff, like around speaking of like interesting choices for their editors and writers, around the time that Tears of the Kingdom came out, they didn't get a review copy. Nintendo has them blacklisted because at some point they wrote an article about how to emulate and pirate, I think it was Metroid Dread.
Yep.
Hey, Nintendo didn't like that, as evidenced by the fact that they eventually came after and managed to settle with which one was it? Was it Citra?
I
It
don't
was
know.
one of the big Switch emulators. I don't remember which one, but like
Yeah, Citrus.
it was Citra, yeah. Nintendo, sued them and got them to settle, which included them, shutting down and quote unquote destroying all copies of the software.
Yuzu?
I knew it was some sort of
Yuzu,
fruit.
some Citrus stuff. Yeah, Yuzu. Okay. But yeah, and like on the one hand, yeah, no, it's wild, that like emulation is like as far as we know, emulation is okay. Citra's the 3DS emulator. Yeah.
Okay.
Yuzu's the Switch emulator. It's it is wild to know about all these things, and I do feel like I'm pretty sure based on previous precedent, the act of emulation is not illegal, but like
Yuzu was actually using specific Switch proprietary stuff, which was illegal. That's why they got
Nintendo was able. I think Nintendo had a decent argument that they had access like proprietary code that they were using for their emulation, and also while I do not know for sure that Yuzu actually themselves like ever condoned piracy, it wasn't hard to find guides to use their software and even possibly from their staff about how to use it to get pirated Switch games. And like talking about Tears of the Kingdom, right? That was a pretty apparently that was a very heavily pirated game like right away. Like it leaked and started getting pirated, and so it was like Nintendo was probably pretty ornery about that, and Yuzu was making a lot of money on Patreon, which is, I know obviously software development does have costs, but like that's a choice, y'all. That's a choice to be on Patreon for software like that. I know that emulation itself is not illegal, but you're asking for trouble to be making money, and I think we're going to be going back to that era of emulation and stuff where people are going to be a lot more underground and careful about these things. But like Kotaku made some decisions around that time, with Dread that got them in trouble with Nintendo. They blacklisted them, and they were, as an outlet, and for some of their editors, seemed very visibly upset, slightly, shall I say, butthurt about this fact. And so I blocked them on Twitter when they were like, "Here's everything we know about Tears of the Kingdom leaks," and I'm just like, "Nope, I don't want you to get me like that."
Nope, I blocked them as well, just because, like I said, I swear like every week there would be something to do. But guess what? You still see them trending on sometimes, and me being the Schadenfreude lover that I am, fucking click it.
And I don't think I have any of their individual authors blocked. I don't think so. Anyway, I'm one of those people who feels like your block function or your mute function on social media is very important, and I will absolutely, if I see a dumbass take, I'm like, block. I don't need to hear from this person anymore.
No.
I don't need these vibes. Get them out of there. But yeah, it's it was still so wild. Like I was going in there to see what's happening. I'm like, oh, they might actually be perishing. They're in there. But like the amount of people going to bat against them was just like, wow. Okay, there's some people who have some baggage. To use that return of the phrase, there are some people who are butthurt at Kotaku, not like in the building, but with the company. And I'm like, all right, you let that out. I'm just going to be like, man, these people had jobs, and being forced to transition to game guides as your way to survive the future is not great either, especially if, your corporate overlords are going to want you to churn out so many of them a week. And especially because that's not what those people signed up for. We could talk about whether or not they could write good stories, which I'm sure they had some okay ones, like they were still ticking, but like, Zam.
Nah, when I think about it, when I read video game articles, I usually go to Games Radar. I think that's usually what pops up in my feed, and I'm usually okay with it. Like there's one dude in particular, I think his name's Hyrule Cypher. He always writes things in a somewhat positive but neutral tone. I'm just like, okay, I get this, even if I don't agree with it. He does not make me feel like he is trying to mock me with this article. I appreciate that. Kotaku's, oh god, I swear they've even some of their best articles, it feels like they're trying to start a fight with someone. I still remember the fucking article one guy for Kotaku wrote about the scalpers for PS5, and he used an analogy. It's all like scalpers just trying to say it's like we're just trying to run a business, and the guy used an analogy. Yeah, but their business is you go into a milk store. You go into a grocery store, buy all the milk, then sit outside the fucking grocery store and sell that milk for fucking 3 times the price. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that's a great analogy. I understand that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to put it, is that's a lot of their articles came off as combative, whether that was their choice to write that way, or that was editorial, trying to spin that part so they could get more emotional engagement clicks.
But yeah, no, it's like Kotaku's always been like very compatible with their articles. Like, so even like you see that even when you like, I found one of their articles entries, which was rare, but you know, it happens.
Yeah.
So no, usually like when I'm looking at an article for like information stuff, I like the more neutral to positive take on things, which Games Radar usually provides
Games
me.
Radar seems pretty normal. I'm looking at like what Google News is trying to pitch me about video game stuff. Like occasionally Game Rant is okay. Though I'm looking at a Game Rant article which says Bloodborne fans should circle March 24th, and I'm just like, oh no, is this another Bloodborne Cope article?
No, like there's like other ones like, oh god, like during this
event.
whole like Rebirth craze, like do you know how many fucking articles I saw like Cloud's One True Love revealed? Fuck you, such and such fans. They didn't actually say fuck you, such and such fan, but it was between the lines. I'm like, Jesus.
God, that's another thing that's so wild. Like, time really is a flat circle, y'all. There were quite a lot of heated debates between Tifa and Aerith back in the day. You know, in the late '90s to early 2000s. It kind of died down naturally as we went on. Though I will say that like the Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2 era definitely still had some villains in there. But now we're back in it, and it's like nothing changed. We're just right back in 1997, and it's like, God, it's almost like part of this story relies on you, the player, and your input, because it's like there's decisions and relationships that you build through your choices that change these things.
Like, even on Twitter, like, every once in a while, I'll just see Tifa trending, or fucking Cloud and Aerith, or Clarith. I'm just like, yep, nope, they still going.
Yeah, no, it's still going, and I'm like, I don't want any part of this. Those people are violent. Y'all need to chill.
It's like, I'm pretty sure I can go down to a bar and yell out, fucking, Tifa and Cloud, one true ship, and I will start a fucking bar fight.
Yeah, no, they'll be spice.
They will be spice.
But sorry, it's like I can't remember what you mentioned, but that just reminded me.
Oh, I joked about the yellow thing.
Oh yeah, sorry, but that was it. I got it.
Listen, it was good to talk about. I'd forgotten about the potential Kotaku thing, and like I said, I also like got in those trendings, and I was just like, whoa, the brutal in here. That's yeah. I literally have Kotaku blocked, and I don't think this is cool. We're taking a little too much of the piss here. You know, that I often feel like that with some things these days. Like, on the one hand, am I happy about like every change that's come to like Helldivers 2? Nah. But like some people were like, game literally unplayable, ruined. We'll never be good again. And I'm like, I don't know about that one. You know, it's the same honestly with like some people were like, we talked about really spiced up about the DD2 DLC, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna buy jail keys. Maybe I just won't go to jail, huh? Maybe you should get good.
All right, well, let's get us out of here.
Yeah, well, outro. Sorry, I'm like I said, I'm just checking out the things, and yes, there are a lot of Rebirth is apparently a topic that Google can track, and it's seeing some stuff, including every collar ability Red 13 can learn ranked, and I'm just like, no, I'm good.
I'll just use them. I'll just get them all and use them when I fucking feel like it. Thank you.
But it is time to get on out of here. Thanks everybody for tuning in and all that. If you want more of that Rebirth vibes, check out the spoiler cast in a couple of previous weeks. We've been hitting some stuff. Keep your eyes peeled for any other future contento. And not too long ago, did play through all of Remake with the PS5 version, so go ahead and check that one out. But yeah, next week I'm sure we'll have, possibly have some first impressions on the new Sea Monster, Water Monster, I should say, the localized title, Water Monster Crisis event. If there is going to be that Banner 2 from id, which there probably will be, we'll have deets on that one, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and just also future gaming content as well. We'll keep up with the keeping ups. At some point I need to get back in the trenches. Like I said, I was super head down for Rebirth. I need to, and been having a cleansing period because was it a lot. I need to catch up on my Delicious in Dungeon and stuff. Also, I actually paid for Hulu at some point. Apparently, the TV reproduction of the novel Shogun is really good.
Yeah,
it's
I've
on
heard that,
FX
actually.
and it's on Hulu. Which is a book I actually read when I was younger. It was a little chunky read, but
I was about to say, it's like you read that as a kid, Jesus.
Yeah, I like high school level. I think like early high school. I have always been an advanced reader, and yes, I would read a lot of books for like schoolwork. So yeah, no, it was. Also, as over 30 years old, I could say, yeah, 16 was kid. I was a kid. I didn't know up from down. But yeah, I should check that out sometime as well. But, keep your eyes peeled for more thoughts. Stay tuned for streams and stuff. We'll be hitting you up later on. So, if you are watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give us a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to get more videos and ring the bell so you guys know we're posting new videos or when we're streaming. Also, if you got any comments, leave those in the comment section down below, or join our Discord. Link is in the video description or on our channel page. Also, consider supporting our channel by channel memberships, get access to membership badges and emotes. And like I mentioned at the start of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon, get access to episodes early in audio format for as little as $1 a month, or approximately $10 a year. At higher levels, get access to video releases early, topic polls, stuff like that. So, that's going to be everything for this week. We'll see you guys next week for more Let's Talk FGO. Good night, everybody.
Good night.